Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tass Talk. Today we have a very special guest, none other than the Mr. Jigabachi himself. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Welcome.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderfully, man. My wife ordered me 2 pizzas today. All right, so I can just kind of pick from whichever. As long as and I have separate stuff for my little one, so like I get to have pretty much my crack at a classic, just pepperoni and mushroom pizza, and then there's also my wife's like Carolina barbecue chicken pizza, which I think is really good. That's what she prefers, but it's both, this Detroit style, nice, thick, crunchy crust. Good stuff. Mm-mm-mm.
Carolina barbecue? Oh man,
Dude,
that's
it's good
that's a
ass
bit
pizza.
much for me.
It's good ass. Well, first of all, I love spicy stuff. I mean, this is nothing. This is like a vinegar sauce for me, right? Like I used to work for a Korean company, go out for Korean barbecue like every week. Like if you're trying to hang with Korean people, it's like they can only find something that's so mild. If you were of the mind for it to eat mild, they can only find you stuff that's so mild before they just literally have to give you like soy sauce or ketchup. And that's like
Ah,
that's like you have to just go out through the back, right? You can't show your face there if that's what you're reduced to, asking for ketchup in an Asian place. Done.
I didn't know you could actually do that. I've never tried to do that, but
I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm sorry. No, you go ahead first.
no, I'm like there's like a social, like one of social experiment there of like asking for ketchup in it. I don't
It's
know. I don't want to insult anybody that
it's not a social experiment. It's just like I live in Michigan, and there's an incredible diversity of people here, like in the Metro Detroit area, and there's also just a lot of like classic Midwestern white bread folks who think that adding black pepper on something is just a shade too spicy for them. And I have dear friends like this, and I'm not going to name names because I'm sure that would piss them off greatly. But yeah, it was. We went out to this really authentic Chinese place once, and we each order something off of this really completely foreign menu. Like you had to have it explained to you what was on it. Like you never saw any of these names before because it's not anything that you would ever find on a like carry out menu. And she just asked for the General Tso's chicken without the sauce and ketchup on the side. So literal fried chicken balls with ketchup on the side at this like
You even do that?
high end place, right? Like it was us and us personal friends who knew each other from work, and then a bunch of our work friends, and we're all trying out this really weird, interesting new food. And she's like, "Chicken balls with ketchup, hit me up."
What I I it's just oh my god, like I can't, like I'm getting heart palpitations just trying to even think of like how you would go into a restaurant and order that, because I don't know, it's like, oh man, that's difficult. That's really tough. When I was much younger, I've been a vegetarian for, I don't know, 15 years now.
Hmm.
But before I was, the way I used to judge Chinese food restaurants was either on the Szechuan chicken or the General Tso's chicken.
Okay.
So that was like my way of like judging the restaurants. So
Yeah.
I would get all like, oh, this was crunchy, this wasn't crunchy, or this was spicy with Szechuan. Anyways, that's how I used to judge those restaurants back in the day, and I got so persnickety about it that I would like walk in and, you know, be like, oh, this just tastes like the restaurant we had before that, and I would be looking for a restaurant that did something different for a standard. And that sounds like madness now, but it enabled me to get into much later in life where I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good restaurant, as opposed to, just settling with, oh, this is just whatever food.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Which is
Yeah.
really funny that you're talking about a barbecue chicken pizza, and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. That's scary.
Honestly, I don't really care for any barbecue chicken pizza that isn't with like a Carolina sauce. Like I don't like Sweet Baby Ray's. Like when people use that in a barbecue chicken pizza, it is way too sweet. Like you guys got to be
Well,
outside your mind.
Sweet Baby Ray's is sugar, 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 high fructose corn syrup and sugar.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. I think I used to like it when I was younger. Maybe I liked sweet more, or maybe it became more sweet over time, the recipe. But like either way, I can barely stomach it these days. I
I
mean, it has a really great base flavor. It's just the sweetness, Llama 24. It's just too damn much. It's just too
I've
damn.
actually never had it because I don't know, I'm not a big barbecue kind of guy. Well, obviously, well, strangely enough, I didn't become a vegetarian because of like some crazy animal rights thing. I just don't like the taste of chicken or beef. I just don't like it.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, I'm a salad and vegetables and fruits guy. I always have been, even when I was a little kid.
Hmm.
So it just was like an easier thing for me to do. So I just never actually have tried barbecue sauces because like even if it was like offered to me, I'd probably ask for something different because like even Llama saying about the as a dipping sauce, I just have never tried it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic taste of my childhood from many barbecues. Like I know it very well. It's iconic, man. It's iconic. It changed the game. Like every dad had to raise his game back in the suburbs. You got to raise that grill game, you know. You have to have like the 5 burner shit. You've got to have like the 2 different spatulas cuz the 2 different meat spatulas because you're obviously not going to flip the this with you, that you would with the that. You know, it's like, "Oh my god." Yeah. But yeah.
That that shows that shows such a cultural difference between like our two styles of being raised. It's so funny to me. I'm like, yeah, well, the maid didn't, our cook didn't make that in the house I grew up in, so that's not what we have. Whereas you're talking about a dad flipping burgers. I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen that in my entire life. I can't even imagine seeing my dad actually working an oven like that before.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. My dad did a lot of the cooking. My mom cooks a bunch of things, but she was chronic. She had a chronic illness when I was little, and then she got better later. So during that entire period, Dad like learned how to cook and everything, and then found that he actually had kind of a knack for it, and so his cooking was pretty much a continuing theme going forward.
I've always felt that cooking is one of those things that a person doesn't realize how personal it is and how beautiful it is until they actually get into learning about their style of cooking.
Hmm.
So it's like my wife loves to cook. It's like her favorite thing is like sometimes to get up and go in there and start working in there. And I'm like, hey, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. We can order out. We can order out. And then she's like, I'm having fun, dude. Shut up and go do something else because I'm having fun. Because I see it as work.
Yeah,
Whereas that there's that exchange there where like I see it as work, she sees it as joy, and I like my brain hasn't been able to turn the corner on that yet.
yeah. It's a like when you start thinking about a culinary school more as like an art school, it kind of clicks into place. At least that's what it did for me mentally because it's a form of expression for people like that love cooking. Like it's cathartic. It is a release, of themselves. I
Did you
can
do
absolutely
culinary
see that.
school?
No, I did not. I just come from like Italian and Serbian people, and they're both very cooking forward cultures.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I actually think that's super interesting because you know, I love hearing about like how the backgrounds have manifested into adulthoods where we have like our people or not our people but like my family and how we've manifested into adults and like hearing another person's perspective from like all over the country and the world and you hear about how this growth transitions and how we create these nice little paradigms. It's so cool. Pardon, I know we're like getting distracted, but this is,
No,
I
this is
professionally do
exactly
this.
what Tass Talk is for. We'll get to all the swuggus stuff when it happens. I mean, we can start going in that direction, but
No,
there
I'm
is
just
no
telling
set
you
agenda here.
that I am very good about, train on tracks, going into wall, going into space, going anywhere. If you're looking for focus, I don't do that very well.
I hit like a record last night. Like when we had the racing night last week when GAC got shut down, and I did like the fastest runs ever, but that was with like absolutely just no planning, like balls to the wall, like let's roll. I did my regular stream in like an hour and a half last night, and that's probably the shortest I've done it in forever because I'm usually good for like 2.5, 3 hours. So when you want to talk about rambling and going off the tracks, like right there with you.
When the GAC Speed GAC was happening,
Yeah.
my wife and I go to the orchestra just about every single week, and we're very, very big in symphonic music. My wife's a violinist and fiddler,
Oh, that's
but we're very big on. Well, anyways, when the Speed GAC thing was going on, we were listening to the talk of the composer. It wasn't the composer last week, was it? No, it was the conductor. There was a special conductor, and they were going over the material that was being played and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're the people that actually go to watch the talk before the concert. Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
I've only been to the symphony a handful of times. Like when I was a kid too. It's something where the symphony is in downtown Detroit, and when I was a kid, it was just a very big and overt affair just to get down there. And it's so easy nowadays. I don't know. But I miss it. I miss it. The thing is, though, is that I have to be choosy about the entertainment because my wife is deaf. So not really a lot of value to ask her to come hit up the symphony with me. She would be able to feel the bass. She would actually get the bone conduction to feel that going on. But like outside of that, it's kind of like, yeah, just chill there for a couple hours, knock yourself out.
Yeah, I can see where that would be. Oh, you would have to pick specific pieces. Well, regardless,
Yeah.
We buy 2 full season passes, 2 full season sets per year.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So we do 1 full set and then we buy another full set. So we basically buy 2 full programs, and then we trade around. Because there's some stuff that we see too much, or there are standards that get played all the time, and It's like my wife and I have seen enough Mozart to last a lifetime. So we kind of like trade the Mozarts for the stuff that we haven't seen, and we always try to go to all the newer pieces or younger conductors or stuff that we've just never heard of before.
Yeah.
And then obviously both of us are very big on violin concertos, so pretty much every violin concerto per year, unless it's one we've heard too much, we generally go to.
Wow, man, that's incredible.
Yeah, so we probably go to maybe 10 concerts, 10, 12 per year.
Man, I miss
there's some months where we go.
Like that.
Yeah, we go every single week, pretty much. Some months.
That's fantastic, man. I mean, great for you. That I miss that connection to culture. Like, really, a lot of musicians in my family, but like my brother and I were both competitive, like American Guild of Music, like first place organists when we were like under 10. Like we were really, really good organists. Yeah, we grew up Catholic. I mean, there was an organ. We both, and my uncle was a music teacher, and he was a pianist, and he taught us to. Well, he also learned how to play the organ, and yada yada. He taught both of us how to play. But yeah, no, we were like jamming out like Tango of Roses, the Phantom of the Opera, like very I mean, relative for somebody that size, like when you're under 10, working the organ is a very physical thing. Like that.
Oh yeah,
you are very involved.
it is working the organ and then first string varsity linebacker, kind of comparable.
I did not play football. Surprise! Big surprise.
I'm too pretty for that. No, I didn't do it either. My high school had 22 kids in it in California. 22, and
crap.
22 kids and 2 males.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
We only had 1 sport because we had to have to be able to stay a school district. So we only had 1 sport per year. So our like PE and sport was all the same thing. It was hilarious.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I went.
I missed an opportunity. I dated the same stupid girl all through high school. Should have played the field.
Wow.
But I didn't.
Well, I mean, something works different for everybody. I mean, It's such a crazy zigzag the way life goes. Like I was in Catholic school my whole life before college, right? So I mean,
God.
you want to talk about like having a very specific cloistered life experience before it's like off you go to public university. Good luck now.
Oh man. And the funny thing is that you like post Catholic school to a public university, and it's like there are like classes that you go and take where you're like, wait a minute, that's not what I've been hearing through.
This
I mean, it
happened?
depends on how progressive the Catholic school, because some of them are really progressive and some of them aren't. It kind of depends on the the area and funding and stuff like that, because some of those areas, like the funding, like closes down the like, oh no, if it's progressive, you can get that out of here.
I would say that unless it was something that was a matter of Catholic dogma, they were very progressive. Like they had a lot. The science courses were top notch. The education was top notch. I'm going to say that. So I'm sure there are more religiously fundamentalist schools that would teach maybe a little less of reality. I guess I was fortunate my parents did not have me go to any of those schools. So
Wow, good for you. Well,
lucky,
you'd be
lucky,
a totally
you
different
can't
person.
choose who you're born to. That's one thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, regardless, you'd be a totally different person, because some of that stuff, you know what I mean. It makes people into very, very different adults than they were as they could have possibly been. That's very fascinating. Wow.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no private school for me. I did finishing school when I was little, but nothing like that.
What's
So yeah, I know.
what's finishing school in the modern sense? Like I don't want to think of it in like some like 18th century sense.
Dude, it's 18th century sense, dude. Like, I was taught how to sit at a table, how to use utensils. I kid you not.
Outstanding. So, you,
Like, I
so,
actually
so,
know.
well, then you are well heeled for polite society, and I suppose that goes hand in hand with, a weekly attendance to the symphony. You're generally not meeting geeks off the street.
Well, it goes hand in hand with hand tattoos. I mean, it's like,
With hand tattoos?
no, I mean, like,
Oh, I see what
it's
you
a
mean, the
s-
contrast. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a skill that I have that it just makes my wife laugh when we sit in restaurants and I reorganize the knives and forks. And she then, when I get up to go, yeah, she's laughing, going, it's not a skill. But when I like move the stuff around and then I get up to use the restroom to wash my hands, and she moves it back to piss me off, so that I
Yes.
move it right back.
My wife catches my t-shirts. My t-shirt will have like one of the cuffs up, right? And I just won't notice it. I'll be walking around like that. She'll just walk past me and like flip it down, like just in passing each other in the hall or something, and I will flip that right back up. And
Which
she'll come back in the office. I was like, maybe I meant to have it that way.
which is really funny because I do that all the time. I'm like always checking my stuff, like that drives my wife insane. That's hilarious.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
it never gets old. So yes, I did. It was very much in that sense of like you learn how to sit and stuff like that, and how to drink properly. Oh, I guess it's
Okay.
a skill. I guess it's as she says, my wife just says it's a sickness.
There will always be an uppermost layer of society that will have its own etiquette, and that's that can't it can't be a bad thing to know it. It can't be a bad thing to know it.
I think it's like anything else. I think that everything has its social norms. It's just another social norm that just like understanding the social norms of any socioeconomic class, that all of them follow it. It's just that very few of them have an educated system of teaching it. It's more something that's passed on through word of mouth or through actions and acting out and mimicking the behavior. Whereas is that you don't go to a class to, learn how to hit on Starbucks employees. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah,
you know what I
I
mean?
understand.
That's kind of a different thing.
Yes, yes, different set of skills.
It is. It's funny.
All right, well, we can talk about anything and everything in between, but let me spring off into some Swugga related stuff.
No, it's totally fine.
So let's start with conquest. All right. Now you and I almost got into discussing this before we went live, so now we can just cut loose. But I was saying that I liked that it was a lot less grindy feeling than the last one. Like if you wrote out the last one, this one kind of feels like a vacation so far. And then you were going about your thing. Go ahead.
Well, I actually take Conquest in multiple iterations. So the first Conquest at the beginning of this, when we first started doing this, it felt like the mode that wasn't wanted, because it was just like you get deployable cooling systems and you repeat everything that you need to do over and over and over again, and you can cycle through it and be done with it very quickly. So it didn't feel like anything more than busy work, and it was very, very easy without effort to get the maximum reward possible. So it didn't feel like it was something that was challenging. And then over the success in Conquest over the next year, it has gotten exceptionally more difficult. And I don't think about it in the context of like your roster with, having all the GLs. Sure. I think about it in context of, what about a person that just has JML?
Yeah.
Because like I have three GLs too. I have Lord Vader, Glow, and JML, and I consider it a luxury because there are teams that I can beat very easily with Lord Vader, where I'm like, what does a person do that doesn't have Lord Vader against Phoenix? Speaking of which, because without that opening days, it gets really difficult to deal with Sabine when she can just outright kill JML immediately. Yeah,
it's true. It's very true. It's very
she can, because she can buzz down JML immediately. And so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the balance between like the card system and what GLs we have, what GLs you don't, what GP that you're at, in order to be able to sit there and go, if I want to be able to get the rewards, and now we're learning how important the max rewards are, how do I go ahead and do that at the beginning of the Conquest when it takes a week before they tell us what cards we're getting? Your royal card is going to get killed immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely understand where you're coming from. But the thing is that I'm thinking about is, it was never intended that what is supposed to be in your mind the appropriate cutoff for, like, guess what, man, you just don't have the roster for it yet. Where is that supposed to kick in? Because it was never intended that every person that could qualify for hard would be able to fully clear hard, right?
Yep.
So where is that supposed to break down? Because I'm not in that position, and I haven't been since Conquest came out. So I'm literally just trying not to pretend like I know what that's like. So, like, where's that supposed to be? Yeah.
I think for me, the struggle is that I think a lot of players have to play 1.5 behind. And what I mean by 1.5 behind is that they maybe don't get the character that is unlocked from the Conquest until one Conquest behind the one that unlocks. So maybe three gold boxes, you know what I mean? And you're picking up the Conquest character from the one after. So like most, tryhards and stuff like that red box every round, unlock the character or ship on the three consecutive conquests, because it takes 3 of them to unlock a character. Whereas that a person would be one set of 3 plus 5. So maybe they don't open it up on the 3 sets, so they don't get it day 1, but they get it in the next conquest or the conquest after that, because they're picking up the shards either from the crates or from the nodes inside the conquest itself. Okay. My problem is that those characters that are coming from Conquest and we're learning are essential.
Yes, that's absolutely the case.
So if a player sits at 5 million with 1 GL, let's say just JML, because I like to use JML as JML as an example, that person is fighting the stamina battle and fighting the red box is just around the corner. How do I make this work? Because the rewards are so great that getting behind it makes it excessively more difficult. And not just that, I'm sure that guilds are looking at the TW stuff and going, everybody's got to have Bob, everybody's got to have two Omnicrons on Bob because he's that strong in TW. And like, how do you balance between like where you think you should be, where you actually can get in a meaningful way that makes you feel good rather than punished by where you end up with what's possible? And that's the struggle for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that.
Because any other way that we have of getting characters just requires effort, right? Marquise, Cantina. It's how much you
Well,
can sim
waiting
it.
a long time, yeah.
Yeah, it's a time game, right? And it's
Well,
about the same time, 3 to 5 months is about the same. If you're not pushing, that's about how long it takes to be able to 7-star a character out of Cantina if you're going maybe 1 to 2 refreshes per day. So it's about the same length of time. The problem is that I think that we are so used to as a community of being able to maximize things or put things at their ending path
yeah.
of saying, because before, Relic 9 or Relic 8 even, when it was at Relic 7 was an end goal, whereas is that every time a character was unlocked, a person was like, I'm putting this at Relic 7 immediately because it's one of the best characters in the game, Dunsky. You
feel
literally
personally
can't do that
attacked.
anymore. What's up?
I feel personally attacked.
No, no. That was how we as a player base were educated. And so now we're changing that where we're making it impossible, even with large, copious amounts of money, to be able to hit that everything at Relic 9 category. That we're trying to change the way that the community views gearing.
Yeah.
Because now there's nothing in a done state. It's just in where you can afford to put it without actually hurting the rest of their farms for all other things. And I think that the community at large is still in this bubble of not knowing how to feel about it. And it's weird and uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that as more time goes by, it's just going to return to the same patterns of behavior. The people who are going to spend to have all that are going to spend more to have all that. The extremes will get more extreme, I guess. But I think everybody's going to fall right back into where they were meant to, with just a few more weeks or a couple months down the road. It's like this every time we see people. Like what's the long-term trend of this game is that they're making an increasing amount of money on it, right? Like they know how to work these extremes, and I'm not saying that's for good or for ill, but it's like it is definitely intentional that we are having this kind of stress in the community.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that really, I guess, kind of wounds me, I guess, or wrong. That's so over dramatic.
You wound me, sir.
Wound me. It's like, black ticket theater in the community college. You'll wound me with this. But to me, it feels like it's more of a punishment mechanic than a joy mechanic, where it's like we're having to choose not to do something because we're afraid that it will affect us in a negative way rather than doing something out of joy. Because all of the factors that we now need to chase and consider of like going, well, if I'm not able to get a team going for GAC, how difficult is it going to make my matchups when I'm facing somebody which has a better roster than me? And I think that there's so many evaluations that are going on in place that I think that a large amount of the community is like, where am I supposed to be going?
It is
Because there's too many teams now,
It's a very high effort game now to be free to play. Because you have to be so very deliberate with everything. And, hoarding used to be a kind of a niche fringe behavior, right? Not everybody was a hoarder. Everybody, especially where I'm at in the game, has to be a hoarder. I know exactly what you're talking about with being able to do R7s less freely. Like, I took up Kit Fisto recently. Love the character. I have some, fun ideas for using him. But, when I'm sitting there thinking that I just had to Relic 7 dash Rendar because I finished his farm, and I wanted him to be on up there because I wanted to take advantage of that crit chance and the extra damage and stuff when I knew I wasn't going to be able to put him in like a Rockstar offense set, so it would have to be just like a very fast and whatever set. I knew I had to put him up in high relics to have him do what I wanted to do in GAC.
Yeah,
So and it was painful because I have nothing now. I have nothing, and now I have to get back on the horse with Kyle Katarn, just as you were saying earlier.
well, and not just that, you have to do Kyle Katarn without being able to backfill his gear
Right.
at the same time, because you literally are having to. I mean, you get to whenever you pull up that Cantina node, you have to make that choice of going, well, am I going to put Kyle Katarn back? How many days am I going to put Kyle Katarn back to farm relics for something else? It's a really, the balance, I think, between like what we have to choose now is definitely I think I like the term I've liked to use in this regard is constricting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not a joy pick. It's more of like I'm choosing how I'd like to be strangled.
Yeah. This is a terrible menu. I will have none of it.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see exactly where this is supposed to go. Because if this was in place 6 years ago, then I think that we as a community would be looking at more of like smart building. Oh my God, it's so cute!
This is
Great kitty.
This is the kitty. Yes, this is Miss Tinsel. Special guest appearance from Miss Tinsel. Look at your sweet face. You will now drool on my shirt, as this is what you do.
We are not going to get mine. Oh my God, it's so adorable. We are definitely not. We're not going to get mine. Mine is very sweet, but he likes to bite on mic cables and earphone cables and kick and punch and grab and pull my keyboard off my desk. And
Let me
mine
grab
is.
this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Mine is 17 pounds. So.
God, it's a bowling ball. Yes, that's like my other cat. We'll see Riker at some point. He probably won't wander in here, but at some point. Anyway, we have.
He's not a bowling ball. He's a Maine Coon. So he's just a big cat.
Yeah, no, that's like a domestic cougar.
Domestic cougar. I'll tell him that. Don't make him feel better.
Big cat. Like this very big cat. It's
domestic cougar. I love that.
Right, Chris FX10 says, I used to bank on like new characters being released like in Galactic Chase, so I'd wait even longer for that, but are they not doing that anymore? Where's Maul's Galactic Chase? I don't think that's part of their intention for how they're going to give you access to those shards going forward. It's kind of a well trod out formula now for how they allow you to get access to the conquest character shards as they're phased out and more conquests go. But I do remember there being an announcement recently about something coming back as a Galactic Chase, and we also just had one for something that I didn't need, but we had one, I want to say, 6 weeks ago, something like that.
Well, I think what's interesting about that is that we get those Galactic Chases, but they seem like special events rather than the way that the game is presenting growth. So I think it's interesting for me is going, are these special events, or is this ways for us to be able to get shards for characters that we haven't been able to farm? So it's like Razor Crest specifically, like if people didn't, what happens if a new player that just came into the game and they're going, Commander Ahsoka Tano was my favorite character. I love that character on the Clone Wars television show. I love that character in Clone Wars Season 7. I just saw Mandalorian. She's so cool. And then when I click on her to see where I can get her, and it says unavailable. And it's like, there's not enough information like in the game that a person has to then immediately go to Reddit, which is the worst place to get Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes information. And I think that it's really difficult because it's so difficult for new players to get acclimatized to the system that we know how that stuff has been given to us over the last 5 years,
Yeah. It's definitely become a much higher effort game to get anywhere free to play, and you have to look out for these rare opportunities, like you say, but they don't feel like they're rewarding. It feels like just another fork in the road to make a choice. Yeah, I was fortunately able to pick up most of these units on the first go round, so I never had to participate in this leg of the race. But
well, you and I both, and I don't. How much of the player base are we? And
Very,
I think
very
that
few. Yeah.
that's the part that kind of stings me a little bit, or kind of like bothers me a little bit, is because I'm sitting there and going, are we just, are we the Elon Musks in our, big giant ivory towers, like looking down all the people are going, you didn't get Maul and 3 conquests. Pah!
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know whether or not that I'm part of the norm, or I'm part of the, or part of the group that's just like, in our giant ivory towers. I just don't know which group I am, and that's really uncomfortable. And it's not like it matters, because this is an individual thing and an individual metric, but like, what am I missing the point on a daily basis, like effort wise, or am I right on target? I simply don't know. And
Well,
I
I
think it's
think you
that
being able to.
uncomfortable feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I absolutely get where you're coming from there. It's a tough thing to balance out right now. I know a lot of people that were just even 2 3 months ago a lot more passionate about the game, saying that they're starting to feel burned out, and that really bums me out. Like, because I'm sure it's something that reverberates through the whole community, but especially at the high like GP end of the game, that community is pretty small, and so for you to hear about like 2 3 4 people in a week like start saying like, man, I'm starting to feel burned out, man. I'm like, all right, so that's like you've got like a month or two left in you, so that sucks,
Well,
man.
the crazy thing about it, and this is definitely a reality. You you can't stop. And it's not because of character shards. I mean, theoretically, you could just go in there and buy it, because you could just go ahead and buy, you know, through crystals. Just, you could get caught up character shards that way, because they will offer, cat, like they're doing mall, and you know what I mean, where you can just buy it for 1,200 crystals. It's not a value and not a great crystal expenditure, but if you need to, you could do that.
Yeah.
But the reason why you can't stop on a daily basis, mods, because once you get behind the ball on mods, you'll never get caught up. Never.
Not without incredible expense. I know a few
Well,
people that are by brute force forcing a GP heavy account that had poor modding to being like having semi decent modding. It is possible, but it is an absolutely like indefensible expense in my in my view. Like I would never do it myself, but I know it's
well,
possible.
it is that I think that's the problem is that for something that's supposed to be a relaxed atmosphere mobile game, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah, like the
working
canteen.
professionals, that kind of thing. Well, I mean, think about this: trying to play this game as if you're working a part-time job and going to school, like the time
Dude.
required to do it, it's brutal.
Dude, yeah.
But like working professional, you know what I mean? The volume of time that's required to do this, it's actually kind of crazy, and it's actually not withdrawing. It's actually getting more and more time intensive per day. Like, we're talking like Mythic World of Warcraft rating, or competitive, you know, esports
Yeah.
Counter-Strike play, like scrim matches, every single day for 3 hours. I mean, it's brutal.
Well, especially when Conquest is here, because here's the thing, like I do feel like this is like relatively a vacation of a Conquest compared to the Mall thing. Not Mall thing, sorry, Boba Sign of Django. That was a really rough set. Um,
I'm having way worse time. I'm having way harder time with this one.
yeah, you were mentioning that
Significantly harder.
about your problem with Lord Vader on Sector 4, and I wiped to that like 7 8 times. Like I had to try a few different things, and then I settled on using JMK Cat, and I got through it in like 3 attempts. You definitely I don't reset Cat. I do it on GK because that
Yeah,
keeps him
same.
around. Right. Yeah, so it's like you're kind of
Because
just
if you
like turn
don't, the
swapping.
mall will kill him.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Like, so, he won't survive until you get the chance to
Nope.
save him. That's for damn sure. But I got through it, and it was not easy, and it was not fun. And I realized that I probably should have taken like a leader's resolve card somewhere along the way just to have to slot in as needed, because I don't feel like I need that card most of the time. But that time, it probably would have made life a lot easier.
It doesn't. I'm running a blue leader's resolve, and I'm. Well, I mean, the thing is that I've gotten significantly worse cards this time than in the previous. The Scion of Django, the first one was a little difficult. Mm-hmm. I opened Lord Vader before the second. Before the second one. So first one I played without Lord Vader. Second Conquest I had Lord Vader but no ultimate. And third one I had ultimate for Lord Vader. Mm-hmm. So it was an interesting experience to go through the three. We need to start a mic fund for Tasniks compared to...
Man, that sucks, man, because I just got this new mic and people have been telling me how much they like the sound of it. So, I mean, I used to be running this out of the webcam mic here.
Well, I will be... Man. I will be honest, though, Kelv. The setup that I run audio-wise, it's...
Thank you for the biddies, Kel.
It's excessive is a mild understatement. I mean, I do music and recording and audio recording, and so I know actually how to set up an actual microphone, but this is actually a condenser microphone into an actual compressor, into an EQ. This is a lot more than most folks.
Does it sound like I'm too far away from it? Because I could move it closer. Let me know. Here, I'll move it closer. I don't mind doing this for Tass Talk, because I don't usually like to have the microphone right in front of my face. Here's my mic, by the way, Jigabachi.
Which is it?
It's the Elgato Wave 1, I guess. Comes very highly recommended from Heinze.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm familiar with it.
It's not people seem to like it.
Well, I hate to do that thing, but I think
do it.
What was Elgato was like $130?
Something like that. More? Yes.
The audio cables that run from my microphone to the EQ to the compressor to my audio interface cost more than that microphone.
I believe it. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, high-end audio cables I'm familiar with being very, very expensive.
Yeah, I run full Mogami Golds from like all my interconnectivity, and it's like when I look at it and go, yeah, I've got $160 in cables.
Yeah,
it's like
the gold cables, man. Yeah, they make a difference. My dad was an audiophile, and he had an incredibly high-end 80s setup, so it basically took up the whole living room.
Yeah, the Macintosh. Yeah, was he a Macintosh guy?
No. Oh. I'm just talking about the enormous receiver, the time window speakers. You have like the full Dolby surround thing in the living room. I mean, it was all wired up.
Oh yeah. Well, the Macintosh brand back then was the big with the what were they called? Analog amps. Oh, so good.
Maybe I don't remember seeing that name, but I mean, what if it was at the high end? That's what he did, because that was his thing. That was his passion.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm very big on the. But one of the things for me, I like the audio stuff. It's really fun. So.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, doing what you do, and professionally and just personally, I can see why you might want to like drop the money on it. And maybe one day I'll be looking to do the same. But for right now, compared to my webcam mic, because if you don't like it, Keltenvor, I can always put it on the webcam mic, and then you can hear me kind of like from over there, and you can get all the buzzing from my background and everything. It's nice. All right, well, I moved it closer. Apparently, you guys say it sounds better when it's closer. I guess that really shouldn't come as much of a surprise.
Yeah, somebody asked me, I think it was about a year ago. They're like, "Oh yeah, no, your audio setup sounds really good. Can you give me I think it was my friend Dr. Chuk who's streaming. He asked me to give him like a price list of everything, and I sent it to him like exactly for my setup, and he's just like, "Dude, you got to be kidding me. That's ridiculous." I'm like, "Yeah, well,
Well, I mean, yeah, quality is always an expensive thing. For sure. I mean, you can't replicate it. There is no substitute for quality.
Funny story, all of this stuff was done before I started streaming.
I believe that. Yeah. Yeah.
I had everything was already done. I didn't like add anything. It was all this stuff was, all the audio connectivity stuff was done before I started.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, okay. Well, then if I'm going to stream, I might as well just go with my, microphone that I use to record friends when they're over playing guitar in my house and stuff like that. So it's just funny how it works.
That's really cool, though, man. I mean, I definitely appreciate the passion that goes into a hobby. I mean, they're all expensive. Like, we laugh. We sometimes laugh at our like LARPer friends with the amount of money that they spend on their costumes, and it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go back over here and drop a couple grand on a microphone, or like in my case, like an ergonomic desk and chair. Like, this is where I spend my time. Like, I spent money on my desk and chair, like I spend like other people spend on their living room furniture, right? Like, it's just where you want to actually, appreciate your time in doing what.
It's actually really funny that you mentioned that. When I was gonna go and do like, I'm gonna get a gaming chair, blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
and I initially was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get one of the cheaper like DX Racer ones. I'm gonna get it in pink, and the cat's just gonna shred it. It's not gonna be comfortable. Whatever. It's gonna sit in the corner, and my cat will shred it until I find the right one. And then I got it, and then I think that different person's body types just work for chairs differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can sit here and absolutely the best possible posture. I was taught how to do that correctly from finishing school. Thank you. And it doesn't, strangely enough, this chair just happens to work with my exact height and weight. So it's just like, oh, well, looks like a pink chair forever.
Nice. And the cats haven't mauled it, it would appear.
No, strangely. Well, I mean, obviously, when I'm not streaming, I have it covered up with sweatshirts and T-shirts and stuff like that.
A thinking man. Yes. Yeah, my chair is fortunately made of material that is either highly resistant to the cats or something that is not like pleasurable for them to just sink their claws into. Like it's kind of like this mesh for the seating, very tightly knit mesh, but it doesn't really give a lot of bite for their claws. So I don't know. We'll see.
Anything the cats will destroy if they want to. Obviously, that just means that your two have shown that they love you. Because mine, although doesn't enjoy it, does it just because, if cats can do it, they will. So
it's true. All right. Well, back in, let's see. I think we pretty much covered all of the moping points in Conquest.
I'm so sorry. I'm like the king of distractions.
No. It's not your job to pull us back on track. It is mine. So I'm just trying to actually make the conversation be something that is interesting, inclusive for not just you and me, because I can shoot the shit with you about anything. Like, I would do this with you forever. But then I'm like, oh, yeah, we should probably talk about the game somewhat, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, hey, how about your first matchup here for GAC, for GAC?
I drew 9 million 5 GLs. And he pulls everything for offense. So, and I don't generally look at my matchup until the last hour. I always do my attacks in the last hour. I've never not done it.
Wow.
So I haven't actually looked at it yet. Let's do that right now.
Yeah.
So I haven't actually looked at my matchup at all.
Yeah.
But I am the smallest GP in my bracket. I have at minimum 2 less GLs than every single player in my bracket. The only metric that I win in is mods.
Yeah.
That's it. Let's see here. Oh, he has 63 banners. He beat one of my teams and then stopped, and he didn't put any GLs on defense. Interesting.
A bold maneuver. Well, what was his lifetime in the old system?
Oh, I don't know that. I actually didn't look at that, mainly because I've noticed there to be really deceiving stuff with that, because I think there's a lot of people that 560,000, so he was an average player.
Okay, yeah. All right, so he's either like me and he wasn't playing it for a period of time. Hello, sweetness. What are you doing here? This is little Tass. Why? What is so funny? What are you laughing about? What are you laughing about? It's not that funny. Goof. Crap. What was I talking about?
We were talking about the lifetime banner points.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can't read off of it if the number's low. You can read off of it if it's high. Like if they were 1 million plus, it's like, okay, you're letting me know that you're a sweaty type, and I can read into that. But yeah, I would never underestimate somebody that's got a low number, because I've got a lot lower lifetime number than people that I fight. And I haven't really had anybody sleep on me since the new GAC matchmaking took effect. But in the old system, man, I had people just like set like Joker stuff against me, thinking like it was, you know, they were gonna stop me up because my number was low or something, or they didn't scout or whatever. And it's like, all right, well, just plowing right on through then. So
Yeah, scouting for me has always been it's so time consuming. And then trying to set up defenses. Mm-hmm. In the old system, it was really easy because it'd be like, oh, okay, this is going to be a deep defense. This person always takes this for offense. And it was very easy to be able to craft defenses for somebody. Now it's impossible. For me, at least, in my GP range, because I'm out GL'd. I have not faced a person with equal GLs for me.
yeah.
Since the system released. I have been 4+ every single round. I have 3. I have been 4+ every single round since the inception of this. So trying to trap people with GLs is exceptionally difficult. Yeah. It's more of how many do I take on offense versus that how many, whether or not that I'm canceling a zone from, if they don't take enough for offense, whether or not that I'm going to lock them out of a zone. And that dialogue between it comes down to whether or not that I get lucky and they don't try hard me and take everything for offense and then clear me out. And then I don't have enough and they put the one extra down on defense and I don't have the counter to that one. So it's interesting. Because like, putting Glow on defense is essential. He's one of the most obnoxious GLs in the game. Well, if they do the same thing and then can JML mine, and then I don't have my JML, it's because you need a pretty stout JML comp to be able to beat a Glow, especially if it has cat. It's just interesting. You know what I mean?
Are you encountering people that are doing the health modded cats?
Not at 560,000 lifetime banners, no.
Okay. Well, I mean, I have that range of opponents that'll have higher or lower, lifetimes, something like that. But I'm just saying, like, in general, I think I haven't encountered it yet, but I'm concerned because, like, when I am not intending to use JMK Cat on offense, just like you said, I'm locked into that JML, JKL, JKR thing against JMK Cat. And if Padme is down with that team, all that protection gain from, protection up from Padme is going to be based on Ahsoka's, on Cat's max health. And so it would just be, I really wonder how well that's going to go. Because my JKL is like only like 11,800 offense. Like I know people that have like 13,000 plus. Maybe if I was closer up towards there, I'd feel more confident, but that's something I'm concerned about facing in the near future.
Well, the thing that's truly fascinating about this is that what is this actually, this dialogue is actually very specific to one thing and one thing only, which is that mods. Because the one thing that separates truly really great players versus players that are just kind of like, I'm here, whatever, this is the new metric, they want us to earn crystals this way, whatever, I'll do it, fine, is actually modding. Because how much are you progressively switching? How much are you not? I mean, like, how many times do you face somebody in GAC with a off or crit damage set CLS?
Yeah, right.
That was something that people did 3 years ago.
In a pre-Chupio world, yeah.
Yep, in a pre-Chup, that was how you did it back then. Things have changed. Mm-hmm. And I think that some people have grown into the change and adjusted those mods, but there is a huge percentage of the population that has never changed it and won't, because the idea of building a tenacity-based CLS is madness to them because they see it as an offense team, and it's always been an offense team. So I think that players that are evaluating their rosters on a day-by-day basis or a matchup-by-matchup basis are looking at the, health modded cat as being something that's like, this works great on defense, this works great on offense. This is the better way of doing things, but mine's going to be slower, but it doesn't really matter because there's a whole turn order exchange that goes on with cat, because you can't yeet the cat before you can't kill it before it gets its ultimate off. So that being said, that speed is largely irrelevant. It just comes down to how you manage it once it's after the yeets are off. Mm-hmm. So it's just fascinating to think about that from the perspective of going, what are the things that we're modding for anti-matchups, and how are we making those matchups more challenging for players that get used to a certain matchup?
Yeah.
And players like you and I are evaluating that and modding for that. And I think that there's a huge percentage of the population that just doesn't. They see Arnold get stuck behind Nest and they have no idea why.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's, having game knowledge, like being able to mod, it's as the power creep has gone on over time in this game, having knowledge of individual kits and then actually knowing the interactions between characters that you're almost always going to see together, like CLS and Chupio, like understanding that interaction and why it drives the need to either go heavy into offense or heavy into tenacity. That's something that you have to roll with and grow with in the game if you want to be any good at it, no matter, spender or not, or what, GLs or not. Like, it's definitely gotten more difficult to keep up with how additional characters, like just perfect example of what you were talking about. I was just talking about this the other day was JKA. Like, because I have Qui-Gon Jinn Omicron now, I have the incentive to make like a really jacked up speed Qui-Gon Jinn team that has cam on it, so you get the plus 60 speed out, and you potentially can just outrun most Bad Batch teams. I was so married to trying to make that happen in the same JKA set I'd had on for the last like year plus, which was like a crit damage potency set with a potency cross. And that's anti-Ness, that's anti-crew, whatever, and it was
anti-Malik.
Sure, anti-Malik as well, yes. Even though I would almost never use it that way. But, like, I had him modded for that, and it was just old thinking. Like, it's like, my brain didn't want to catch up with the idea that, no, I have this Omicron sunk, I really need to play into that. And so, yeah, like, knowing what you're doing is one thing, and then being able to actually break out of what your brain is already locked in as, no, this is the right way to do this character. Like, that's the other part of it, is having the willpower to break your habit.
Or, and here's the other part, is having the mod depth to be able to make it happen. Because it's dreams into reality, because you could be looking at it from one perspective of going, all right, sweet, I want to be able to throw as much tenacity on Chupio, or as Chewie as possible. Yeah. Do I even have the mods that have tenacity to get Chewie to possibly resist the daze from gas? So I actually think that it's more of like, there's a lot of people that just simply don't have the mod depth to be able to do that, nor have they cultivated a large swath of different types of mods to be able to make it so that those choices and decisions are even impactful.
Yeah, that's very fair. And for those of you who aren't already doing it, I hope you already are. Always spend your 350 crystal refreshes every day on mods. And the question is, what farms can you put off, or what farms are you willing to trade off to possibly spend extra 100 crystal refreshes on mods? I mean, if you're going for multiple characters and you got to farm gear for them, okay, that's a higher priority. Go ahead and do that. But like, where you can, convince yourself of good reasons to spend that extra refresh or 2 or 3. It adds up over the course of like 6 months. You will be shocked the number of mods that you will get by, if you're just doing at least the 350s. But again, throwing in those extra refreshes does have big dividends. Like if you're refreshing at the 100 crystal level, that's the same as buying mod materials out of the shop. It's the same price point. So just keep that in mind. Especially if you're thinking of ever farming into the 200s, and especially if you're thinking about doing that for mod mats, just buy out the shop first. Do that. Anyway, that was off topic.
No, it's not off topic.
Well, I rambled
this is the new Matrix, because in order to be able to have a decent win percentage in GAC, so that way you're...
Sorry, that's my opponent from GAC this round. He just subscribed with Prime. Thank you, man. Did you already do your attacks? Because we're live here, I'm not getting pings from Discord, so I don't know if he did any attacks. Oh wow. Okay, here he goes. All right, let's see what happened. All right, quick diversion. Sorry, Mr. Jigabachi. Okay, he had to two-shot the Qui-Gon team. Haha! Excellent. Oh man, tell me about some things that went down for you, Gola. I'd love to hear about the Qui-Gon matchup, because you're my first intended victim for this new team. So yeah. Oh, Smodern, yeah, you played Gola last round. Yeah, this guy sets down a very heavy defense for sure. But okay, so he had to two-shot Darth Revan Talon, and he had to two-shot Qui-Gon, and he's thinking about what he can do, if anything, I guess, against this Rey team. All right, and then topside, what went down? Okay, cleanly went through all these teams. Nothing too crazy up here, but yeah, pretty good to one-shot all that. All right, what's up here on Fleet? Ah, there it is. All right, yep. 2 attempts in on Executor, and hasn't yet attempted the Negotiator ITB. So yeah, tough times. It's going to be, if he's going to be able to clear this readily, then he may not have the tools to clear that. So we'll see. You might attack in pieces, Gola. You might surprise me. I believe in you. You're already out. You think it went poorly. Spy dot. Oh no! When you were going against Executor, so dodge the big hit. I'm guessing you got Cad Bane or something. Cad Bane or Razor Crest, and whoever it was that got marked just dodged the big hit from Spy. Ah, that's rough, man. Oh, you had Mark on Cad, and Cad gave you the elite dodge. Oh man. That's why if you guys can work yourselves up to it, setting any, this is a very popular version of Negotiator because it only has a couple ways to handle it with good thank you, Yoda. 400 biddies. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. We're close to a hype train here, guys. Choo choo. Let's go. When you're that close, if you're both setting down these teams, you're putting it in the hands of RNG whether or not things go well for you. Because I one-shot his Executor, and then I had to two-shot this Negotiator because my Finalizer counter to it, we got just a little bit unlucky with some dazes, man. And then it's really tough to resolve that. It's something where I've one-shot it with the same comp before, but you get, you're not guaranteed anything. You're not guaranteed anything using the same thing these days. So I'm just used to it. So this is the most difficult possible defense to put down. And he did the same thing to me. And one of us was going to have this outcome. That is how this goes down. So, man, thank you. All right, Kel, all right. We got the hype train started. Another 100 biddies from Kel. Man, thanks, guys. Let's keep this rolling. Boom. Oh, wow. Look at this. Mr. Yoda Force just crushing it with, 10 sub-gifts? Okay. Up to tier 2 we go. Oh, man. And another 1,000 biddies. Just crazy with it, Yoda.
Thank you, Mr. Yoda Force. That's amazing.
That is awesome.
I see my name in there. I hadn't quite gotten to that point yet of the stream. I had to put the pressure on and do a 75 against this dude's Darth Revan and a 65 against this dude's GG defense here. I think this guy's pretty much toasted.
All right. I believe in you. All right. Well, yeah.
It's easy. It's
Yoda,
easy.
you
He's
were
got bad mods.
sorry, say again.
He's got bad mods.
Oh yeah, man. I don't know if you saw the mod comparison I did with Goloteg, but like this guy's a tryhard, right? This guy is like 1.4 million under me, and he's facing me. Like this guy has like 6 GLs, but think about that. Think about that. To have 6 GLs and be like 1.4 million under me, there's so much flesh missing from like B tier teams and stuff like that. And then I had him out modded pretty much at every territory. So, it was one of those things where if I really wanted to be that kind of guy, I could have just like set all my GLs on defense or whatever. And, I could have just used the weight to sumo squash him. But I wanted to try and engage what I knew would be a pretty tough defense from him. Oh my God, more subs, more Yoda action. Here we go. Man, he's just handing them out like candy today, guys. This is just crushing this sub goal. This is like a solo Yoda Force task. Are we already level 5 hype train? Just from Yoda. You guys are not, man, you're just crazy, Yoda. Thank you. Thank you so much. Man, I'll tell you what, this is up there with one of the better GAC streams in terms. Oh my God. There's another 1, 2, 3, 4, 500 biddies from Mr. Yoda Force, MVP. Like, I'm gonna have to like get your name tattooed on one of my nuts or something. I mean,
we could just hot tub this thing up right now and just start blowing up the air pickle, and then go ahead and write his name on Sharpie on your face or something like that. Because where we're gonna go from here, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow, we are 107% of the level 5 hype train. You guys are just beating the brakes off this train. Can it stop? Will it stop? Who knows? More biddies. Man, the madness is just intense. All right,
it's actually really fascinating what Goal is talking about having mulligans with the GAC Omnicrons. We really have no way of testing it. So it's like sometimes you take things and you're like, I think this is going to work, but boy, it'd be really nice if we had some way of being able to test it to see what we can use against X, Y, and Z. It would just be fascinating if we did, but we just don't have any way of testing it,
You're right, yeah, and that's the thing. I know almost nobody's running like a Qui-Gon Jinn like that with a Kit Fisto, and somebody's going to look at that and be like, what's up with that? And yeah, I mean, after seeing so many people clear it last season, I was really hoping to see if it would do something interesting, and I'm glad that it did for a change. Yeah, you're saying, Goloteg, you wish there was a mode where you could practice against this kind of defense. A lot of decisions. Yes. So that's the thing. Even when I have to set lower number of GLs on defense, I really like trying to puzzle together, what I'm really trying to draw from you with certain placements of the same teams. Because if you scout me, you'll see I use most of the same teams on defense most of the time. But like their positioning on the board is always moving, and I might swap out like 2 or 3 teams, something like that. But I appreciate it, man, and I'm glad you enjoyed fighting the defense, because I was definitely trying to make sure I had enough to clear you, and you saw I had a couple drops on you, so I'm glad I took a little bit extra with me, even if that means that I had to play some easier things down that I would have liked. But it's awesome. Man, this hype train is just crushed. 140%. Golateg gifting a sub. Kellenvor gifting a sub. This is incredible. Hey, Ehrlich, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I hope I'm saying that right. I am not good with my German. Okay.
Ehrlich is my guild leader.
Oh, yeah? All right, all right. We got the Jigabachi fans coming in. Happy to have you guys. Yeah, we have just been shooting this shit all over the place.
Yeah, it has definitely been what would be called as a roundtable discussion all day today. So
that's right. Yeah, we don't have any specific agenda here aside from loose few questions that I type up ahead of time. And I found that I wrote out like 15 questions when I first started doing the Tass Talks. I was writing out like 15 plus questions, just making sure I would have enough. And it's like, man, it is so easy to just keep a conversation going. Like I think I went through like 7 questions last time on my last interview. Like, and that was like almost 3 hours with Swugga Yeti. So it was like that was
Yeah.
there is no need for me to write so much.
Yeah, I watched the entirety of that.
Wow. Hey man, I'm glad you enjoyed it because I worry about that, right? It's like, man, it's like 3 hours, man. Nobody's gonna watch
Well, but
this.
I mean, I was also watching it because I was listening to what he was talking about leaving the game and how he felt about it.
Yes.
And it was just really interesting to hear like what were some of the things that he was feeling, because I when I started streaming, he was one of the big guys that was going. Oh, it looks like 18 subs, 2,500 bits. Woo!
Wow.
Wow.
That, first of all, thank you so much, everybody, for making that hype train. Obviously, Mr. Yoda just came in here like just swinging heavy out of the gate. MVP of this hype train. You can be the conductor. Toot toot. So thank you so much, though, everybody. Really appreciate your support. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you watched that and you enjoyed. What he was talking about with his feelings leaving the game, because I sympathize with it. I've heard a lot of it, and I know a lot of people that are trending in that direction, and it's sad to see because I haven't reached that point yet. Like, for me, I guess I'm a lot more accepting about just this is the way it is, so it doesn't really benefit me to have like a particular feeling about it one way or the other. Like, I just put my head down and mash it through whatever it is. And maybe that says I'm not enjoying it as it is. I don't know for sure. Oh, I'm getting a call from Grandma. We'll have to get her back later. Sorry, Grandma. Love you. But it's like I hear so many good people, good players, entertaining people, just backing off. Like they're losing their love for it. And yeah, it's sad to hear, man. It's a problem with what we've been talking about today, with the direction that they're taking the game. Like, whether or not you're spending a bunch of money, it's taking a lot more time out of you. And if you are trying not to spend a bunch of money, it is damn for sure taking a lot more time out of you. Like, you have to be so on top of your farms, and you can't miss any energy for refreshes, anything free. Like, you just have to be so much more devout with the game than you used to be even like a year ago. So I
Yeah,
get what you're saying.
it is definitely, I love the word constricting. And I think that there's different ways that people associate themselves, like stress wise, competitiveness. There's all kinds of, because your stress level that you can tolerate for competitive behavior, and there's a stress level that you can take for repetitive behavior. And I think that people are all in this like matrix all the way in between all of this place. And I think that Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes as a game, the culture of the game is doubling down on time, competitive, and it's definitely difficult. And I don't think that that's not an unfair way of gauging how a person feels about it. By the way, I love that you already have the Inquisitorius at Gear 11. And I'm just like, I don't even see how that's possible because I don't have the cryotech to do that. Even
So
if I
straight up, like until like last week, I had like almost 1,200 of each Chirotech just from like free to play grinding them up. Like, I'm so, like, when I had spare energy before I was able to go after Mara Jade and stuff like that on the hard node, like, I'm always grinding the node that gives you the Chirotech. Like, I'm just always doing my 350s at that, and I just have this enormous glut of them now, and
I was
cool.
behind on I was behind on Fennec. I was behind on and then the minute that I'm like into the 28 of 100s for Fennec, they release Mara Jade, and I'm just like, I can't. It's just, you can't get caught up.
Yeah.
I still have. I'm just so far behind that I just simply cannot get moved into that next barrier, and it's overwhelming, the stress level in regards to trying to get caught up on farms.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's tough. Like I have that stress myself on the can, like what we were talking about with the relic mats, man. I had like
You know,
500 plus of everything, and now I literally have nothing. Like I can't go after replenishing it anytime soon. It's I'm gonna just finish farming up Kyle, and then I'm gonna slowly gear him up, I guess, and slowly relic him up, because I had enough that I could basically in 24 hours take dash from relic 4 to relic 7 with just farming up a little bit of energy, or a little bit of signal data that I needed. But after that, I am just like completely tapped out. Oh my god, your nails are so sharp, kid. Why are you scratching my leg in this way? Okay, I am being literally hauled out of the chair. What is it that you want, my child? I will be right back, guys. Sorry to abandon you for a moment, Jigabachi.
no, it's okay. I'm going to use this opportunity to proselytize.
Yes, do it.
It is.
Do it. Speak on. Whatever.
It is fascinating to me, just from my perspective. Now, obviously, I've been behind on getting Cyana Django and a lot of those guild characters that I need for TW and stuff like that. So to me, it was like the signal data crunch when all three of those characters got released from Conquest were like, ugh. Like, it just felt like a dagger right into the chest, because I'm going, well, I have to make a decision between whether or not that I want Starkiller, whether or not that I want to be able to get prepared for another GL, or whether or not that I want to try to get Starkiller. And it was just the weight from that choice was one of the most stressful choices, because it's impactful, because it directly impacts how I'm going to develop my roster going into the next 6 months, because it's going to take me 6 months, 3-4 months to be able to get those GLs. Kate Gaming is rating with a party of 22.
Thank you so much for the raid. Party of 22. Man, I come back at the right time. You guys are just here in time to see me get back from running off to feed my daughter. Hey, Dark Side. Good times. Good to see you in the chat. First time. Poby. Good. Yep. Hey, Poby. What's going on? Pozdrav. I'm assuming that is hello.
At least entirely possible. It could mean goodbye.
I don't know. It could be a slur. I could have just incriminated myself.
No, you'll be fine.
You never know.
I think we'll be okay.
Man, all right. Let me pull this up to acknowledge the follows. Thank you, Obitu followed me this minute. Thank you so much. Man, that was so cool. That hype train. That was fun. Those are always like kind of like a adrenaline rush sort of thing. That's how rarely I get like the big ones though. Like I'm just like. But yeah, ships. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about what you think about the new ones coming. You think they're going to be pilotless, or you think we're going to have current characters made into pilots for them, or do you think it's going to be new characters and requiring all of the shiniest, most expensive to farm pieces?
I'm going to answer that question in 2 parts. You ready?
Okay, go.
I'm going to answer it into what I think and what I want. How about that?
I'll take it.
I think that they are going to be piloted, but I think they're going to be piloted from pre-existing characters.
Famulus is saying, was it not confirmed that they would be piloted?
Speculation based upon something Doe just said in some post somewhere.
Okay.
But it's not confirmed. It's not confirmed unless, Capital Games says the pilot of the ship is X. I think it's going to be from pre-existing.
Okay, that's good.
What I would like is for the characters that get released for those ships, they get released into stores which people have currency, Arena Store and Galactic War Store, and those characters do not require Cryotech except for the 12 finisher. Because those fleets have been out for years. Those fleets need to jump into the meta and break up the Executor meta. That needs to be accessible to players, not just from players that have the ability to be able to just outspend and double down on that currency. This needs to go into the players that are like, I love Resistance and I want to play with my I don't even Admiral Holdo ship. I don't even know what it's called. I want to be able to play with it, and that haven't been able to use that fleet aggressively in years.
Yeah, I
But
mean, you can definitely use it. So like you can use it to knock out. I imagine that if you were so inclined, you could go in with a burner fleet just to pull out the AOE from Executor for its first move, and then you can use Holdo to clean that up with all ships still being alive. I know because I've gone after Executor with the Malevolence fleet with the intention of killing it, completely shit the bed, killed nothing, and then gone back in with my Holdo fleet and killed the whole damn thing and didn't lose a ship doing it.
been like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, so this is apparently where we are in the game. Like, you can try your heart out and just get like completely spray farted, or you can just like stumble into a flawless victory.
And you know what's really funny? You know what the reason why that is? Because there's a number where the dodges go both ways. Because
Holdo fleet
the
dodges
Cad
so
Bane
much.
evasion dodges that happen from the Executor, and then from Cad Bane, and then from the Radish. Thank you, Ray Rock. The Radish, the exact same matrix, because that fleet can just start dodging out of nowhere because there's all kinds of evades and dodges that are going on with that thing, and then you can just be like, oh, okay, fine, I'll just dodge until the rest of my life. Can
And
you imagine
Gridden
if we
here,
got a double dodge meta?
yeah, no, the dodges on that fleet are absolutely crazy.
No,
I
no, no, no,
exploit
no.
it all the
Can
time.
you imagine if we get a dodge meta
Yes.
between the Executor and the Radis? How
Yes.
can you imagine? People are going to be throwing their devices to the moon because of that.
It honestly, I think it is so hilarious that you can do the Holdo maneuver to the Executor because it's like you're throwing like a toothpick at like a freighter, right? Like it's it's amusing that it works that way. So I think that anything could make it compete. It feels like it's so close. If you like, the only thing you need to be able to do is have a resistance tank that's going to benefit from deflector shield, and possibly be able to do all these crazy dodges. Like, imagine a whole bunch of the attacks on the Executor AoE and Mass Assist call missing. Imagine a bunch of those getting dodged. That would be incredible. And I do want to acknowledge this before we get it too far buried in the chat. Gridden did say that. By the way, first time chatter, Gridden. Good to see you, man. I know you've been watching, but I appreciate your interaction. Doja said that they confirmed that the new ships would have pilots. So, to whatever degree, he's saying it's confirmed. So I'm cool with that. But we don't have any details about the pilots themselves, Gridden.
No.
Just that they will be piloted, not whether they're new characters or fleshed out of existing, because one might think that they would do that with existing characters that you've already had to do for, like, Rey's journey. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is that somebody was saying that in my guild, and they were like, "Who do you think the pilot will be?" And I was like, "Oh, it's going to be Tulip Taco." And somebody's like, "Tulip? I didn't know that the character's name was Tulip." I just got to laugh about
Just
that.
whoosh goes the joke.
Oh, they love their daughter so much they named them both after flowers. Never mind. I'm a bad
Terrible.
man.
Yes, that was bad. That was bad. I mean, you say you are very happy not having kids, and it's like, that was a pretty good dad joke, though, man. You got some of the chops for the job. I got to be honest with you. And
I think
are you able to lean back and make yourself real comfortable with your gut hanging out? You don't really have a gut, so you'd have to work on that too.
no.
There's a bit of method acting involved. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I have to like exhale quite a bit because
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Really push it out there. Get that on out.
Yeah, I'd actually have to, you'd have to have 6 months of working on that before I could actually do that, which is not bad for 45 that I don't have to do that at all.
It's incredible that you're 45, dude. Like, yeah, yeah. Because we white people age like milk by far and large. It's bad. And I say that because I've worked among like mostly Middle Eastern, Indian, and Asian people for most of my career, and all of them are like impossible for me to gauge their ages as they're older. It's like, dude, I'm 55. It's like I legit thought you were 30. Like, I'm probably terrible at this. It's also that my people just age like shit. It's just the way it happens.
Well, it's. I think it's because most people don't, or most dudes are just like wake up, t-shirt, if it's clean, smell test it, check to see whether, if it's a collared shirt, check to see whether or not that it's, it's too wrinkly to wear, and then you can go with it. Whereas that there's a good amount of us out there that are. I mean, I iron my shirts. I have a routine, like a straight up American Psycho level routine for my face every single day.
Yeah, taking care of oneself and trying to be presentable does help with it. But I'm just strictly referring to like knowing how to dress yourself. Let's assume that you have some idea of how to make yourself presentable. I'm just saying, like, between dietary choices and like genetic factors, we're not doing so great by far and large.
Yeah, well, it's dietary choices, to be honest with you. I mean,
Yeah.
when the idea of fast food is the payout, it's like, dude, you can't do that. You really can't do that. You got to be really careful about what you put in your gullet. You know what I mean? Because you wear that stuff every day.
It's true. It sticks on you.
I even had fast food in probably 12, 13 years, somewhere in there, somewhere in excess of that number.
Yeah, you're better off. There's nothing that you can't get there, that you can't get a strictly better form of it elsewhere. That's the great thing about like the success of like individual burger joints. I know you wouldn't really go to a burger joint yourself, but like the number of places, like when you were a kid and it's like you wanted a hamburger, okay, you're going to like a fast food place unless you're like going to buy the stuff to make hamburgers at home. And not, unless you were also gonna like go to like some high-end steakhouse and order a burger like an asshole. But I was like a kid who wasn't going to high-end steakhouses as a kid, so wasn't really worried about that. Like, now there's so many good places. Just get a decent burger. Like, you don't really have the incentive to step down to fast food 99% of the time.
My Q&A questions for when it's time.
She writes up Q&A questions that I should consider reading off.
Why the sunnies?
Why the sunnies?
Because I love sunglasses. I love sunglasses. I have, mine are, you ready for this?
Go for it. The tale of the sunglasses.
I have 12 of them.
Oh my God.
I have different colors. You name a color, I have sunglasses. And I am a big proponent of matching my sunglasses to my shirts and to my socks. Oh God, did that really just kind of put me in a really weird situational place conversationally?
Well, no,
I like that.
No, I don't think so at all. I think this is fascinating.
And I also match them to these, my hair clips. Oh God, that makes me sound so... Well,
right,
I guess that makes...
Up until the hair clips, up until the hair clips, you could definitely not have it sound so... But the hair clips was probably the one step too far.
Was a step too far? Yeah,
not too far to talk about. Just like, now people can have a certain idea.
Well, the sunglasses actually serves a real purpose, for real. Number one is that I run two of the Elgato Streamlights.
Very bright. Yes.
Two of them, left and right, one to backlit, one to light me, one to light the green screen. Now, obviously, the Discord green screen effect doesn't look as good on stream as it does on my normal OBS setup, but that's not a big deal for today. It's just kind of like more like me being persnickety about it. And when you sit under two streamlights for 5 to 6 hours a day, it's basically like walking around outside. So the sunglasses came as a result of that. Yeah. So it was definitely when I started to go with the lighting setup and stuff like that, I went with the sunglasses. So some games I actually, because of the game, some games are darker in nature. So like Diablo 2 and, some games that have dark backgrounds, it's difficult to wear sunglasses when I'm playing, but other times, most of the time I can just wear sunglasses all the time. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is a very bright game with bright graphics. So it's very it's very easy to wear sunglasses and not see. What was fun was trying to figure out how polarizing sunglasses worked with monitors that are polarized. That took a little bit of doing.
What was that like? So I have like the transition lenses and stuff like this, but I just wear regular glasses, so I never have to think about this kind of thing. What was that like?
When you do portrait monitors, they disappear under polarized. So you have to get a monitor that doesn't polarize. So I bought a monitor so that way that I could go to portrait mode, but it was polarizing on the sunglasses, so one monitor would stay and one would disappear. I had to find the right setup for so pretentious.
All this for the sunglasses. This is a lot.
All this for sunglasses. But I mean, when you have cool sunglasses, I mean, what difference does it make? I mean, yeah, you know what I mean? You got to have cool sunglasses, right? And which is really funny is because I have a bunch of them. And when I get up in the morning, I just pick my sunglasses and I pick my color for the day and get going.
No, I appreciate the accessorization. I know a lot of people that do that with a lot of like men in suits, like doing that with like their socks, their watches, their ties, like unironically every day. Like, and I'll tell you what, you can say a lot of things about those guys. You don't say that they don't look sharp.
I love it.
Those are some sharp-looking people walking around.
Yeah, it's and now my best tattoo backstory. Well, the tattoo backstory that's going to be really funny. I have both of my arms covered, tattoos on my back, neck, fingers, hands. Every tattoo except for my two little fingers. You can see the little hearts. Or not little hearts, the little teardrops on my fingers. And I can't show the one on my back. Every single tattoo on my body is a cover of another tattoo. So I don't know if that's good or bad. This entire sleeve is to cover up another tattoo, and the entire sleeve is to cover up another tattoo. So I think the lesson learned is that you do things when you're younger because you're not that smart, and you just figure it out as you go along and be real careful about those permanent choices that you make.
Yep. All right, that's interesting. I would have never guessed that they were all overwrites because they all look real sharp. So,
well, I mean, they
sure
were
you got them
smaller.
done by a good artist and everything, and I'm sure there's a good method for doing it. I'm just surprised, as a person who himself does not have tattoos, that you could actually have it look like so good as an overwrite.
Well, what's really fascinating is that, and I guess weird in a way, which is you can see all my tattoos are super colorful.
Yeah.
I'm a colorful person, I guess. I'm more drawn to colorful things. Mm-hmm. One of the things is that my skin takes color so well that when I go into a tattoo parlor, like the guy that did my right sleeve last year, or 2 years ago now, it's time flies. Mm-hmm. When we were sitting down to do this, he was sitting there and going, "What color does your skin take?" And then he's looking at my other arm and he's like, "When was this tattoo done?" And I was like, "Oh, this one, which is my left arm was tattooed 16 years ago, and it's still this bright."
That's vibrant. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, but you've already answered it for me. Like, yeah, it is the rare person to keep such vibrant color in a tattoo over time.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'm not an indoorsy person. I mean, I'm out. I mean, I run 10 miles every other day. Mm-hmm. So, wow. It's not like I'm like a sit at home in front of the computer and inside light tan. I mean, I'm out, in the elements too. And I just, when I go out, I put sunscreen on.
Yeah.
And it just, I take care of all that stuff, and it's definitely translated into my tattoos sticking around and looking pretty good, I guess, in that regard. Yeah. So, not to get too not safe for work, but I do have a more fun best tattoo backstory. Okay. While getting my right sleeve, the tattoo artist that I've been going to, and he's a family friend. We've known each other for 20 years. He's my brother's best friend, and he's been in every one of my brother's bands for forever. He was tattooing in Los Angeles and made a killing out there, and then he was tattooing in Vegas on the Strip. So he's super, super talented, and that's all the right sleeve here. It's amazing. Anyways, he was tattooing in a very exclusive, very small tattoo studio that was only 1 or 2 people. The other person that was doing, that was in the same room as him, and it was like a closed room where you could close the door. She came in, and that she was setting up these like, I don't know what you call the foldable, like that's such the foldable paper barriers.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I don't know what they have a name. I know they do, but she was setting them up, and I was like, oh, okay, she's setting them up. That's kind of weird that she would do it. Most tattoos is like out in the open, blah, 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 blah. Then it's like, this was during the height of COVID. So it was like kind of interesting that this was going on. Anyways.
So you're thinking maybe it's like a COVID thing.
Yeah, I was, not thinking a COVID thing, but I was like, whatever. And I was like, oh, and I was, this is really interesting that you're putting on the barriers, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, oh, no. That's not why I'm putting the barriers on. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. That's fine. She goes, do you want me to tell you why I'm putting the barriers up? I'm like, sure. And she goes, did you have the not safe for work language stuff on your channel?
Do I? I guess I should add that.
Nope. Well, I'll just use the correct word. I'm tattooing the area around a person's exit hole.
Yeah. I think you can say asshole here. Yeah, I think I do have it set up as NSFW,
Yeah. So I have heard people struggle with physical pain listening to that girl. And the funniest thing, she came walking in knowing that was what she was going to be doing that day.
Yeah.
So it was like that eye contact of like, she looked at me when I'm, having my arm done. You know what I mean? She gave me that look like, oh, you're just having your arm done. Well, I'm going to go ahead and have somebody work on this. And it was like that exchange back and forth between.
Yeah,
brutal.
It's like you and your pedestrian sleeve.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
I was only in there for about 30, 45 minutes when she was getting buzzed on for a little while, but boy, that not a comfortable sound that was coming from that person. Not at all, actually.
I would imagine not. That sounds pretty horrible.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, it was real bad I was struggling just listening to it.
That's real devotion. Like, you have to wonder, what is it that you need to say that you need to say it right there? Like, and who is that for? Who are you trying to impress with this message?
Well, I actually know that because she was actually really polite. She had given birth.
Yeah.
And she hated the look of the scarring from that.
Yeah.
And so her choice to cover up that scarring was to have that entire tattoo area done that way. And like I said, everybody does things in a different way. By the way, you're getting roped by this glow team.
Dude. Yeah, it's not great. I probably should have gone with the other tank. I was thinking about that. If I
what level is your Royal Guard?
He's 8.
He's 8, and he got roped this bad?
Yeah, but now I think we'll be okay. Because, I mean, in this particular duel, I think Lord Vader is out on top.
What relic level is your Lord Vader?
Too soon.
What relic level is your Lord Vader? Oh, man.
He's 9. He's a 9. He's a big boy.
He got roped.
I got destroyed, so we'll drop EP and stop being cute about it. We'll add that other tank this time. Yeah. No, that was brutal. Destroyed.
Yeah, that was that was a little uncomfortable to watch. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I hope that gives you a couple different answers to your questions,
Yeah, my wife said she really appreciated your answers, and yeah, that's fascinating to know. You always want to know, what's the story for people's tattoos, because you have to assume that whatever people are getting a tattoo of, it's something that they care a lot about. Otherwise, you wouldn't do a tattoo of it. Like, there's so many other ways to express yourself that are not that.
Yeah, I actually started getting my tattoos at 17. So
Yeah.
the two tattoos that I got when I was that young were on my right hand and on my right arm here. Both of those tattoos now have been since covered up.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago, though. I mean, a really long time. I think you have to kill GK here because you got stuck behind
I
GK
do.
too.
I think I heard my daughter do so. She shouldn't be. Give me a second. Child, get out.
Get out! Get out, child! Don't touch things. I'm controlling his characters through internet osmosis, and it's not working because I didn't roll high enough on my mind control dice. The DC of his BlueStacks is too high.
What's happening? What's wrong with my BlueStacks?
I was joking. I was trying to control your characters with my mind, and it didn't work.
Oh, I see.
I was trying to be silly about it, and it didn't work.
Alright, here we go. Yeah, I might as well just basic, because I can't stop him from popping off. Let's see, we'll go first if we do it this way, so we'll just basic here.
I'm totally invested, by the way, in having you win this now.
Okay, so he's really
God,
throwing me for a loop there.
Can you imagine?
I think we'll get it.
Can you imagine not having the roster depth? Can you imagine not having a Lord Vader at the gear level that you have to do this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
This
that's why I
conquest
try
is
to really
on.
measure my opinions.
You do this conquest, like I'm saying, for you, it's like, dude, it is unforgiving.
Ugh. All right, now we're cooking with gas. You got 5 people up versus 1. He can't be that big of a badass.
Hold my beer, says
Like
Kenobi.
famous last words. And no one ever heard from him again.
Wow, he's hitting for a truck.
Oh. Yeah. Big Billy Bass hits, it's true. Finally getting through all that protection. Okay, that's only 2. We'll just basic here.
Yeah, it's fine. You're with the 60 stacks. You should have the whatever it's called, the Lord Vader deep buff, blue buff thing. Yeah, whatever it is, the new buff for Lord Vader.
The edgiest buff of all, the underestimated buff.
Yeah, it's whether or not you can get out of here with the 3 stars now.
3, 4. Aha, gotcha. Got him. All right, what's my card? All according to plan.
I still haven't been able to kill Lord Vader. Oh wow, look at you.
End of the sector, and nothing interesting. Yeah, I mean, I guess I might as well take something.
Oh my god. You got to be kidding me. Those are awful cards.
Yeah, no,
for
my
cards, my
cards haven't been great writ large, dude. This is what I've been running the whole time. Check this out.
Caustic, stacking. What else? Amplify. Volatile accelerator. Offensive buffs. Thermal exhaust. Yeah. Dude, it's the card system for this has been largely really boring, honestly. I mean, we're using the same damage debuffs, the damage cards as we were last time.
Yeah, exactly. Like it was easy enough to throw this together, but nothing particularly difficult or hard to come by. You know.
I tried the frenzy thing with Imperial Troopers book and can't do it. I tried 3 different times, moving mods the whole time, still can't get it.
Yeah. I've got to figure out some of these feats. I haven't stewed on that. Like this is the first big goal for me, is just to clear all 5 sectors, and now I get to pick about how I want to go sweep up the rest of these feats. But yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
I'm still not able to beat the Lord Vader. So to me, it's just kind of like the frustration level with that is just kind of like overwhelming, and I just not having as much fun with the conquest as I was in previous iterations of it.
Yeah.
Definitely not as enjoyable for me, at least.
Yeah, if you want to do
Yeah.
this offline or something sometime, I'm really
No, what
willing to
is
help you with some
what
attempts
did
on
you
that.
do? Just I guess I probably need to go and work with the cards too. So you went with the volatile accelerator, the amplify agnes.
Yep. The dot build. Let them kill themselves. It makes life a little harder for you for those feats where you need to get X number of kills by certain unit, because them dying to those bombs is just that. You don't get the credit for characters on that.
What comp did you go with? JMK, Cat, Gas, Kenobi, Padme?
Yes, exactly that. With gas. Gas made the difference.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I tried. I spent about 200 energy yesterday and couldn't do it.
Wow, that sucks, man. Yeah, it took me a handful of attempts, but I did get through it there with that comp. Fumulus says, yeah, he's not looking forward to that fight. Book Hunter says, a couple guildmates said they used Imperial Troopers with a Frenzy consumable and Watt to beat Lord Vader. So yeah, you'd have Watt just to do his basic, right? And put out those buffs and give everybody like 20% turn meter from that.
Yeah, I wasn't. I literally was not able to do that. So it's fine. I mean, it's not the end of the world. You know what I mean? I'm not over here mad about it. You know, that's definitely not the.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely not the case. It's just more like my thing is always a results oriented type of thing. Like, what do I need to be able to get the results that I need to get? You know, and Maul just killed Kenobi outright.
Yeah.
Right, the damage immunity went off for General Kenobi, and he outright killed him.
Yeah, that sucks, man. Yeah, Vinny, I see you saying that you were able to beat the Lord Vader in Sector 4. Are you using anything that hasn't been mentioned?
Yeah, please.
There's always more ideas, I'm sure. How is it that this is supposed to work? Complete the A New Hope feat. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be. I should have probably been looking at doing some of that. A New Hope feat. They have to both survive. How am I gonna make?
It's another loss.
Damn.
I can't, dude. It's too frustrating for me. It's like I'm over it 100%.
Okay. Yeah.
Oof. Moving on.
I hear that. Okay, so I know there is good in you and A New Hope. So I've really got to knock these two out very quickly. So
I used JMK, Padme, Cat, Ahsoka, and JK. Yep. I just did the exact same thing and lost. Again.
Padme, Cat, Ahsoka, and JK. But you use gas instead of JK, right? I lost terribly when I was doing JK. Gas made the difference for me.
Yeah, I literally just used the exact comp we were talking about. And the right when the damage immunity went off of GK, Maul killed him outright. So
Jeez.
And then they immediately double trained into Cat and killed her.
How fast is your GK?
He's part of the slow build, so I went with the super slow GK.
That's good.
Still have. So, yeah, going with a fast GK. Can you imagine a person that doesn't have GK or Lord Vader?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? JMK or Lord Vader? Like, what do you do if you have Rey, Slicker, and SAE? You know? You have to do the Imperial Trooper thing and try to figure out how to work. How slow is my GK? He is currently at 236 with 120k HP.
Yeah, I mean, that's a decent amount of added speed, dude. Like 230s.
4 times.
He could be easily like 180 something, right? Like you
No,
still
it's
have a
only plus
decent amount.
36.
Huh?
It's only plus 36. So he's really slow. Super slow. That's okay, though.
I must be thinking of someone else.
It's all right. It's okay.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah, I'm reading. Vinny's saying a lot back to you here about what he did. He had high health on the team. He moved mods, offense triangle on Ahsoka. That Lord Vader was tough. It took me by the 3rd try. I mean, yeah, it took me a lot more than 3 tries. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've probably spent somewhere in the vicinity of 15 to 20 tries. I've been stuck on it for 2 days, 2 straight days now.
That's incredible, man. Sorry to hear that.
No, it's totally fine. I'm not like mad about it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Disappointment is the right term. You know. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? there's a lot probably could be to it. Everybody's, has got this, I know how to do everything and kind of thing. So there's definitely a lot of that. But it is all right. You move through it as best you can.
Right, yeah. I mean, everybody knows how they did it, but it's not to say that everybody's roster's set up to do it the same way. So, yeah, I'm trying to think about anything really clever to do for quickly knocking out these 2 global feats. Oops, didn't mean to do that. So I have to do this. I know there is good in you, so that's a bunch of like EP Vader battles or JML, JKL battles. And then a New Hope. I just have to do a ton of these. I guess it's probably most easily done with Ray. So that I could shield my like Gear 12 Farm Boy. I guess that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, I just did that one. I wasn't having that. I was just doing it with CLS. So I did Sector 1 with Chupio. So I did CLS, Chupio, Old Ben, Farm Boy, and Han. So that it double dips because it dips on the blind feat from this phase too, because there's a blind feat also. Yeah, so I always try to like double dip and find those, those double dip.
Right. I think this is probably a good one to go after with CLS. All right. Yeah, I'll do that while we're just jaw jacking. And I had some. Sorry, go ahead, man.
No, that was the one that I was actually. Those feats and stuff like that are pretty easy. It's just being stuck on a boss is just ugh. Ooh, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sirree, Bob. Where you at, Farm Boy? There you are. Get him.
I love the relic. I love the relic, Sabine.
Yes, dude. She's actually important. That one's actually very important.
Do you run her in the Mandalorian team, or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because the only time I really feel that you need to have Django with that Maul-Mando team is if you're trying to go after a GL, like probably C, right? You really need the sheer amount of offense that he brings to the table. Otherwise, it's wasted. And so who's going to replace that but still do a lot of damage in their own right, just not maybe quite so much? Honestly, Sabine's amazing because I have the Zeta on her thing. And yeah, it does a lot. It does a lot.
Wow, that's really cool. She's one of those characters that's like, after I would possibly get through the myriad of characters that you don't want to necessarily kill everybody because you want Chupio to take a turn so that way he actually blinds somebody so you get more than 2.
yeah, like that. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's a long road, Ed. I have to do 19 more of these, so we'll make progress.
Well, the unfortunate part about the debuff cards is that the debuff cards is really showing that it's really, really, really difficult to get some of those feats because you're killing stuff too quickly, or the cards kill things. Because the cards can kill things occasionally, and you don't get the credit for it because the cards kill it. It's
exactly
just like,
right,
whoa.
Oh, sounds like my wife just got home. That's good. That's the Defiant who's been asking you stuff in chat.
Yeah, I kind of put that together.
Oh, well,
I used the visual clues plus information that was given in an earlier part of the chat, and I was like, I think I know who this is.
Yes. It's all coming together. Now, let's see. All right, there's another 2 blinds. See? We'll get it done yet, Jigabachi. We'll get it done. Oh, that's awful. I hate it.
I love the stun from Farm Boy. It's so great. It's so good.
I really wish that character were better because he is fun.
It's the unfortunate part is that we're so constricted by the meta that characters like Farm Boy and Fulcrum that are on the fringe that don't fit into those predetermined teams that we already have. It's like, is Fulcrum a good character, and could she be used?
Well, her time is upon us now, right? Because of the Akbar Omicron. Like, unironically, her and Princess Leia are about to be powerhouses.
You shouldn't require an Omicron for a character if it's 4 years old to be
Oh,
good.
well, I mean, yeah, I guess, I mean, that is a fair point of view. The way that I prefer to look at it is you had this character and it was always useless, like once you got out of the beginning part of the game where any character would do, and now it can actually take on a decent team or itself draw a decent counter. So it was something that was complete waste and crap before that they're now going to make good by adding this Omicron. But to your point, like if you were a fan of the character and you wanted to use it anyway, like independent of the Omicron, should you have to do that? Yeah, I can see your point.
Well, the other thing is too, and this is, I guess, maybe one thing to half dozen another, which I have 4 Omnicrons total. I have not bought any of the packs, the dollar packs, to be able to get Omnicrons. This is just from standard gameplay, simming of the nodes, the galactic challenges, blah blah blah. I have 2 TW Omnicrons and 2 GAC Omnicrons, and because I just simply cannot generate enough Omnicrons to be able to use that, boy, it would be really nice if I could do some of these more fun Omnicrons to be able to play and have fun with, but I'll never get to that point, because I have to worry about the important ones first, the ones that are, do I need this? Because if I don't, I'm going to get stuck in GAC. Yeah. Or do I need this because, it's one of the most important things to have for the guild is to make sure that I have the 2 Omnicrons for Boba Fett done. So it's such a difficult task to be able to walk both lines.
You're right, and like I'm in Shadowlands Vanguard, and they recently changed the point of view of the guild on requiring so many Omicrons for territory war. Like I think we have a grand total of 3 required ones assigned, so it's not a lot. But like for players like you, like we have people that are, I would say, very light spenders. Like they're not buying the Omicrons. Like I don't know how many people are truly free to play in Vanguard. I would expect very, very few. But there are some relatively very light spenders who would be in the same boat as you, as only having like 4 Omicrons total. And to have only 1 for GAC when you've got people running around out there with Starkiller, with Zam, with Qui-Gon, these teams require legitimate answers, even if they're not like top tier teams. They're drawing some of your more reliable counter teams, and people just know that. So even the bigger guilds are having to fess up to reality about GAC's where the crystal's at. That's where the account growth is at. Like you have to let people make their money, so to speak.
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, obviously, there's always that duality between not selfish play, that's the wrong word, but more like between the stuff that I do for me versus the stuff that I do for the guild, because there's obviously, are TW. Like, we're not even talking about the TW Omnicrons. Are there any TW Omnicrons which would be exciting for, to use as a player? I mean, I don't think it's a good value, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that's probably done the Imperial Probe Droid, and been like, oh, the Imperial Probe Droid is the most fun Omnicron in the game. I mean, I'm not that guy, but I'm sure that there's probably a couple thousand people that have it at this point, because that's the way things are. But I mean, like, when would it ever get to the point where you would have the Omnicron for, IPD, even if you had the chance? I'm like, yeah, it's never going to happen,
Yeah. Yeah, there's some of them that look fun. Like that Admiral Akbar one is exactly such a one that I think looks really fun, but I don't know when I'm going to go after it because I already have the next few that I want to bank. Like I am working on the requirements for Starkiller. I want to have this stuff good to go when the time comes. I don't want to have to build it up onesie twosie. And especially because I'm not able to do the Sims in Cantina like you are right now. I'm not picking up that odd material onesie twosie. By the way, thank you, Yoda Force, for the other 100 biddies here you just threw at me. I didn't want to miss that. Thank you. Famulus de Populi is saying, I'm looking forward to having the Boba Omicrons done, but past that, the TW ones don't really speak to me. I think there's a lot of guilds that look at it that way. Phasma's kind of a iffy choice. You know, it's okay, but it's just okay. So I can sympathize with that. Yeah.
I think the Phasma one's better, I think, because it's a brilliant cleanup team for, you know what I mean? Because I think there's a ton of cleanup teams or a ton of cleanups that need. So it would be interesting to see, but like I said, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I don't even have any first order that are even remotely geared. So
Yeah.
just the idea of having it to me is just beyond comprehension because I'm nowhere even near the possibility of doing that. But
Yeah.
it still stands that there's just no, like I've gotten very, very few out of Cantina simming. So, and that's not the Cantina's fault. That's how it goes.
Right.
But there's just, it's so difficult to get those. And it's like, I only have one of Boba Fett's. I have Mara Jade's, and then Qui-Gon and Zam. And I don't regret them because I've already spent them, but I would much rather have taken the one off Qui-Gon Jinn and given it to Boba Fett so that way that I could have another one for GAC rather than the Qui-Gon one, but it's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the
I
world.
love my Qui-Gon Omicron. I think it's such a fun team. I have no regrets about what they changed about it because that seemed to me like they definitely could have always handled their communication better. That's nothing new for them, but I feel like the intent of that character was never to trivialize a galactic legend. So yeah, I mean, seeing people going in there stabbing Qui-Gon and then just having like a full Slacker team get lit up. Yeah, I'm fine with that being behind us. And if it all that it ever does is routinely draw a Bad Batch, Bad Batch's stock has gone way up. Like you use that to clean up JMK teams without Cat on them. Same thing with Ray teams. Like if you've got Cat out of the way and it's just the Ray. I've had my Bad Batch and I have a Relic 7. Wrecker. I've seen people with Relic 8 and Relic 9, but you can do it in Relic 7, I don't know, maybe even less. But it's 4 defense, 2 health mods, just really tanky, like 75% plus armor. And I was able to clean up a team that was Rey, Padme, and I want to say like Vandor. So not like a great supporting cast, but 2 people surviving. It's enough to maybe set off a couple of whirlwinds. And they took it out for full banners. Because that Wrecker ate 2 whirlwinds and 2 ultimates. Think about that. And then I finished the fight with full banners.
Wow, that's amazing.
So if I can force you to use your Bad Batch on my Qui-Gon all the time, dude, I'm cool with it. Cool with it. I'll just put something nasty in the back all the time.
Yeah, I'm currently. My opponent keeps attacking like one by one, I think, because he's not happy with, the way defenses are going, I think.
Well,
so I'm currently
update us. How's that going for him?
I am currently right now about ready to another 65 against his Maul team.
Nice. What are you using?
I just used my bounty hunters with the Zam Omnicron.
Yeah. That's a good
and
one.
This is the double tank slicker he's got on the back wall here. Yep, that is double tank slicker. So I have to go to my guild here, and my guild has a little handy dandy little chart. Dude, this is so, I absolutely love it. So where is my TB's raids? Where's my TW setup? Where's my handy dandy little chart for how to beat Slicker?
Yeah. What's the method you're looking at using?
It's the Jedi Knight Rev and Jedi Knight Luke team.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. Is it the double tank or single tank Slacker?
It's a double tank, but it doesn't matter because my mods are such I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. People are finding that if you're gonna trip up somebody with Slacker on defense these days, it's
super offense.
It's better to set down the double tank.
Yep. Well, this is what this guy did. He did the double tank.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will go ahead then and double tank opening, swap to Luke. Doop. Mass stun. And then I want to do Master's Training onto Jen.
Rooting for you.
Yeah, shouldn't be that big of a deal. I have really, really, really good mods on my roster.
Awesome.
That's the one thing I do actually have on my.
I appreciate a man that is passionate about mods. And Famulus is saying, yeah, I'd consider the Phasma one if I had any intention of working on Phasma in the next 6 months. Yeah, I mean, already having Phasma done, I still don't want to do it. I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't have Starkiller yet. I know there's at least 2 of his Omicrons that you super want. I'm not sure where the meta is going to be at the time that I get it. Maybe the 3rd one's going to be required. What happened?
I lost.
You lost? What happened?
I didn't get his crew resisted everything from Old Ben with 120% potency, and I lost.
Wow. So somebody got stunned that couldn't afford to be stunned.
No, I needed to get the ability block on crew, and I didn't get one single debuff to go on the crew. His crew had 102% tenacity, and I didn't get one.
Right. Yeah, you got unlucky on that. That's incredible. So crew was able to take a turn and lock down one of your dudes, and that was it?
No, I reset Slicker, and he cleared the debuffs and killed the team.
Oh.
And this is a 6 GL opponent. So he just... That's the end of that.
Wait, you're saying crew? Did you mean Hux? Like it was Hux who resisted?
Hux. I'm sorry, Hux.
Okay, I'm thinking about like how does
sorry, I meant Hux.
Okay, because I was thinking it's like, yeah, now that sucks. A high tenacity Hux is
no, it was a low tenacity, 102%. Right. That's nothing.
Yeah,
and my old Ben is 110%, 110% potency.
Yep. So
no
you
debuff
got screwed
stuck
by
on
the base resist. I mean, there's always that 15. I mean, that's
There's
it.
always a chance. Oh well.
Sucks,
and I don't
man.
have anything, and I do not have anything to beat a Relic 8 crew. So that pretty much ends the GAC.
Sorry to hear that, man. Sorry it went that way.
Why? I'm not worried about it. It doesn't matter to me.
Oh yeah, but what am I supposed to do? Like, hey, glad's all's well that ends well. It's like, hey, sorry that panned out that way, man.
Well, in the end, sometimes that's all you have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you gotta take the L's with the W's. It happens.
Oh yeah, there's going to be plenty of those. And when I mean plenty of those, there's going to be plenty of those.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you. By far and large, I'm loving the new format. I love my matchups for the most part.
I don't like them at all. But I don't like the current way that it's breaking down my opponents and like how I'm actually having to deal with just the sheer volume of defenses that I'm facing with the GLs is like I don't even have the opportunity to be able to breathe because of the GL deficiency. So it's like the only way that I win is if I do these like ridiculous dances with trying how to figure out how to be able to beat some of these opponents that, you know, can just out GL me and I just don't even know what to do about it. So it's just kind of like, it's just stressful in that regard where it's just not as enjoyable and it hasn't been enjoyable.
Is exhausting. Yeah, I get that.
It is incredibly exhausting and so it's just difficult it's just the time invested. I have to spend so much more time and you know what I mean? Rather than this guy just puts down all garbage on defense and takes everything on offense and I still have to be perfect or else I get stuck. And it's just, I don't know. It's tough to take.
Yeah,
It's tough to
it's
take.
a lot of
That's for sure.
disadvantage to start off on against a bigger opponent almost every time, because you would be increasingly punished in exactly this way if you keep winning matches. So yeah, it is tough. You know what? I hadn't thought about it that way. Yeah, if you're in that position where you don't have all of the GLs and you're to some degree being made to punch up, like you having to go, you only have 3 GLs. So I mean, do you have Star Killer?
Nope.
Yeah, man, that's like another one. That's tough. That is really a tough spot to be in. I'd say about 2 years ago, I was going up against like 2 GLs versus four. So I remember those days, and those were really tough days. Um, my wife has a question for you. She says, "Which of the Sunnies is your favorite?"
Okay. Well, my actual true favorite pair, I actually do not have in the in the house right now because I love them so much that I wear them out a lot. They are yellow framed with pink lenses, but the pink lenses don't when I'm looking at the computer screen don't look very good because it distorts the screen and makes it really hard on my eyes. My
Mm.
other favorite pair were I got a they did like a Pride month. I
Ooh,
want to
yeah, those
say
look sharp.
like a year ago, and they're reflective lenses with like this rainbow with like stars. I don't know.
No, that's a sharp looking set.
I like these ones, and it's actually a really really nice pair to wear. So I end up wearing my rainbow ones all the time.
No, those are really colorful. I like those ones.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, and
super
it's
fun.
yeah. I definitely I grabbed those the minute they had them. They only had the Pride ones up for like 3 weeks, and then they took them. They didn't take them down. They sold out of them. So I like bought them up. I was like, I should have, but now I'm like looking at it as I should have bought more of them. But they only make the sunglasses in what's it called in limited runs.
Yeah.
So you either get them when they have them available, or they just run out of them because they only sell limited runs of them. So it's like sometimes they run them in a very very small amount for a little while. So it's like you have to kind of do that whole, and that's how they get you, right? You know what I mean? It's like you
Mm-hmm.
either get the sunglasses during the run that you get them, or you don't get them at all, and it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, and some of them only come into your email and stuff like that. It's they want you to spend some, but they're really cheap. So they're only $25 a piece. So
Yeah, that's
they're
not
actually
bad.
really
I'm on some email lists like that for like watches, because I used to be buying a few different watches here and there, and it is pricey to keep up with what's cool and what's trendy and what's interesting in watches.
Oh yeah, well, and watches is a whole totally different thing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a Rolex
Mm-hmm.
that I have that I don't wear it very often, but
Mm-hmm.
where do we get to purchase the Jig brand sunglasses? I have been trying so hard to. I've been trying so hard to get a sponsorship from them. I keep tagging them on Instagram and stuff like that. Whenever I'm like have them on stream and stuff like that, but then like the photos that I tag them with, and then like the 10 photos of like the super, super cute girl that's on the beach in California.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, they're not going to touch me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to click on my picture. They're going to click on, the girl on the beach picture. And I'm like, damn it all.
Yeah.
Damn it all.
It's
But,
true.
it's fine.
It's your lot in life. You can. Some of us can't ever be a teenage girl once, but some of us can.
No, I don't. All I care about is that it would be nice if they like throw me a bone and send me a pair here and there would be
dude.
super cool. But if they don't, that's totally fine. I'm gonna keep wearing them because I absolutely love them.
That's why when they do pick you up one day, it'll be very genuine, very earned.
Yeah, you gotta keep that struggle so that way that when it does happen, you're like ready to go and you're like, I've got it, I'm ready.
This is right. This is the way. Let me see if I've got any other interesting things I wanted to pick your brain about, because we're going into the third hour here. So I appreciate you. Yeah, man, we've been See, that's what I'm telling you about. We haven't really. We
No
did not go
slowdown.
through a lot of questions, but God, have we been talking?
Well, I'm sure there are questions because there's a ton of stuff that we didn't even remotely talk about
Well, hey,
and
you
didn't
got
even
something
get
you
to
want to
that part
bring
yet.
up? Let's have you intercede here. You got something you want to spout off on for a little bit.
No, well, I mean, the only thing that I'm concerned about the health of the game, and I have
Okay.
been for a while, just because I think that there are things that are, I'm very, very big about, this is going to sound so Central Californian. I'm very big about joy-based mechanics. So like whenever a company does something or a game or whatever, I'm very big on a game doing something about joy rather than punishment. So, and I'm going to use it because I can, and because it's one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, Riot Gaming.
Yeah.
When they release a new character, they released what's her name? Who was the little girl with the gun, the electric girl? I
Yeah,
forget her name
yeah,
already.
yeah. Just saw her. Yeah, I haven't really
Or
encountered her
Fleet.
because I don't play a lot of Summoner's Rift anymore. But
No, that's okay.
when I
Yeah, but
occasionally
she's
do, I haven't run into this character yet. But I don't know who.
Zeri. Perfect. Thank you,
Zeri.
Famous.
Thanks,
So
Fabulous.
in the first week, you buy her with Riot points and play with her. And so every game that you get into was like this, games would close, right off the bat because somebody didn't get Zeri that really wanted to play with her.
Right. Yeah.
But she's Riot points. So it would be like immediately, like the game would start, somebody would pick Zeri, and then the game would either close or start because, somebody wanted to try out their new character.
Yeah.
So for the first week and a half, it was people that used Riot points to get her.
Okay.
Then she went into the free-to-play rotation.
Okay.
That is a joy-based mechanic. Because the persons that spent the Riot points to get her before anybody else had a week where they could basically have a better chance of clicking her and getting to play her immediately. And then you play a game, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Then the second week, every living human being that wanted to try her could.
Yeah. Defiant, I see you in chat saying Zeri was super imbalanced at launch too, though. But yeah, exactly. Famulous said it. Took the words out of my mouth. That's a Riot problem since time immemorial. Yeah, they do not release well balanced champions on the first try.
But regardless,
yeah,
it's available. There's no windows. There's no waiting. It's just boom, there she is, and you can go after her. If you want to do that, you can do that. It's all there.
I think that is cool.
And it's a joy-based mechanic. So they allow you to be able to click that and do something based on whether or not that you love it. So you don't get it in the first week, that's fine. Then very next week, she's free to play. You can click on it and try her out and go, okay, I'm going to go ahead and spend my Riot points to snatch up this character. Yeah. But you get to advertise and play through something in its entirety without penalty. Mm-hmm. And so you're doing something because you get the joy of doing it, not that you're like going, what am I going to do here? This is going to cost me $300 to be able to use this character and see whether or not this is a really good character.
Yes. Yep.
That difference right there, or the adverse, if I don't have this character, how does this affect my TW? How does this affect my auditioning for a better guild? How does this affect my light side geo? It's like, you know what I mean? It's really difficult when it's a punishing based mechanic rather than a joy based mechanic. And I'm struggling with that. And it seems like
I can see what you're saying there. That is a good point. And
if you're not in doing the conquest and red boxing every time, does this mean by the end of this, is this ship that we get from the second sister, is this ship going to be as important as the Razor Crest is now? Or the Razor Crest was in August?
I think that this is going to do a lot with an Empire fleet. I can't say that it'll be worth that much, but you certainly wouldn't want to be caught without it at the top end, right? Because so many, I don't know if it's just a top end thing, but I'm sure it's with most TWs and most guilds these days. Like, your squads have prescribed counters for them, and did you save one of them to take it out, or are you going to have to deliberately take two swings at it? That would suck, but people sometimes make those strategic calls. But you just straight up win or lose wars on the fleet zone. So if you have an extra tool that is going to give you an edge in a situation, man, you'd be crazy to leave that on the table, right?
In it, honestly, the funny you bring the wars. The funny thing about the wars is that it's so punishing on the dodges and the dodge stuff that's going on with it's not Cad Bane, it's the capital ship's ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating to see that from that perspective of thinking of looking at it as going, where are we going? Where is the entrance for this? Are we doing stuff because we're forcing players, like, if you don't have this, you are going to be behind and you are not going to get caught up? Or are we doing this because this is exciting and super fun? And I'm always evaluating games based upon how they introduce joy-based mechanics versus restricting-based mechanics. And I really feel like Marvel Strike Force turned it up about a year ago into a really gruesome, grotesque place as far as power creep is concerned, and just choked out the people that played that game. It's brutal. The power creep in that game got choked up to a level that's disparaging. And it pushed everybody that was on the fence on that game right out the door. And Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes is like literally going, hold my beer, Marvel Strike Force. I'm coming. And it's difficult. It's difficult to stomach. I don't know.
I think that's interesting. Like there are characters like Iden Versio and the Second Sister and Ninth Sister that I don't feel that if you're not on the cusp of having them, that you're really losing out. But the Star Killer requirements and Star Killer himself add another like S tier and an arguable like A and B tier team to your defense or whatever, and that's yeah, it's punishing when you are not going to be spending to get those characters in a timely fashion. And then another thing that you just said that I wanted to pick up on, the I guess I don't. It's funny. Everything you're saying as you're saying it, like it rings true to me, and I guess it's just me as like a longtime WoW player. My brain is able to sort out the playing the game that is work, so that I can enjoy the part of the game that feels like play. And so I guess I just have it partitioned that way, and it doesn't bother me. But as you're talking about this, like, yeah, you know what? Now that you say it that way, it isn't really fun. A lot of this stuff, but it is needful, and it allows me to have more options to do GAC, which is pretty much like where I have my fun in the game. Like TW's fun. Winning TW is really fun, but just playing TW is okay. But
But
GAC
are
win or
you a
lose is
guild
incredibly fun for me. Sorry, go ahead.
are you a guild officer?
Yes, but like I'm not like I'm in charge of mod compliance, and I also
Can you
do
ima-
fleet
can
walkthroughs.
you imagine an officer of a guild being in charge of TW defense with the Omicrons, and how to how to be able to create teams for defense against the fettuccinis or cyanogangos. I can't even think of the volume of work that goes into a guild and
Oh,
how they would. I like that's a person's life that they have to put aside, or a team of guys, 3 or 4 guys that are going together to. I can't even fathom how difficult that is.
it's very much that stressful. Like I am like I see the TW planning, but I'm not one of like the routine TW guys. Like I'll offer my opinion on this and that with fleet and stuff like that, or if I have just an input that I think that they can't do without, then I'll drop a line. But the guys that are really managing it, like you say, like I see if it I see the burnout. I see the amount of effort that it takes out of these guys to do. And you're right, it's crushing. Like attack phase needs to be 36 hours. It just squeezes the life out of people having to manage the attack phase. Like the defense stuff, the planning, yeah, that's a couple extra hours out of your week that maybe you wanted to do something else in, but that
They
part really
both need to
hasn't
be
changed.
36 hours.
Yeah,
They
attack
both
phase
need to
needs
be 36 hours.
It's got to be.
I
It's
mean,
crazy.
it is it is so punishing. It's so stressful for me to think about that, because I like think about my guild and the officers in my guild, and like I'm just sitting here and I'm going, like, how do they do that? Like, I mean, like, how do they put this together in a meaningful way? And not just that, like I just used their mod guide to be able to lose to that slicker, although it's not on the guild's mod guide. It's on the fact that their Huckabee got really lucky. But like, for me to think about it from just a perspective of like what the guild has to do to put that stuff together, and the amount of time and work and effort that goes into that.
Yeah.
And it all has to be in-house because we're playing against other guilds, and our information can't go on the internet, because if the other guild sees it and repeats the same thing, and we play the same guild, 2 times in 3 months, I don't know. It's really difficult for me, and I'm really struggling with it, and I'm trying to find ways of compartmentalizing it, and I have not successfully been able to do that yet.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it sad to have to speak of the game in these terms? I can see why. I can see why people are definitely having their problems with it. Like, for now, I'm enjoying GAC. I've always gotten my jollies out of this mode, so as soon as they added that to the game, I've basically been riding on a cloud. And all this other stuff, as burdensome as it has become, I just chalk it up to, this allows me to have the resources to have fun in the one mode that I really care about. And
Yeah.
as long as I still keep enjoying GAC, I imagine that that's how I'm going to be able to continue to compartmentalize it.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I think it's truly fascinating, because like what started out as something that could be done in an hour, like you could theoretically be done with this stuff. And here's the other thing. People are thinking about this in context of fives. How long do you think it's going to take to do 3v3 defense? Like, I mean, seriously, like, think about how long it's going to take you to do GAC rounds in threes.
Yes.
I don't know. I just talk about things based upon how I see it, because I'm hoping that maybe my perspective is jaded, or not even jaded, but I'm hoping that people will see that, and then they'll go, all right, what do I need to do to be able to make this more manageable? Because when I notice that it's affecting my home life, that's when or affecting me as a person, that's when I like have to kind of like go, okay, we need to sit down. We need to evaluate what we're doing here. We need to make a goal. We need to make a plan and figure out what we need to do as a person to be able to have something that is more enjoyable and less struggle or stressful. And I think that duality between those two things with a video game, oh my God, like this is a video game. It's crazy that we're even having this discussion about the difference between joy and boredom or daily struggle.
Stress,
Wow.
all of it. Yeah.
Stress. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. I mean, can you imagine the planning and stress that Arnold and Fatal had to go in for the first round, only for 2 weeks later to play each other again?
I mean, that sort of thing has happened to Fatal multiple times. I'm sure to some degree he's used to it. But yeah, that's the thing, though. If you're a high effort person in GAC with like the planning and stuff like that, it probably wasn't anything like terribly exceptional that he did for Arnold, because he rolls out the same process for everybody. It's just another iteration, right? But that's the level of play he's at, where he's able to belt out a plan that, even if it was challenging to put together, it was, on that more challenging end of the spectrum of thorough GAC plannings that he's done anyway, right?
Yeah, and not just that. We like joke about it. We're like, oh, he didn't struggle that bad. And I'm telling you, he's that competitive that You know that he was sitting there going, in this
yeah.
round, I'm probably going to draw Arnold. How am I going to mod my roster? And it's like, you know that in my brain, I can't even touch the thought process that goes into that. A, that level of competition, B, the level of challenge, and then C, the level of what you have to do, because you know that he can't repeat the same thing again in two successive rounds. So like, because you're constantly having to kind of move those chess pieces, and it's not just about the characters and the compositions. It's about the compositions, the speeds and mods. And every time we get a new marquee that's added, those guys are all at, immediately Relic 5 plus. And you know, it's like, how does that, every single new character fit into that matrix?
Yeah.
I can't breathe. It's crazy to think about it. I don't know.
I see where you're coming from. I mean, yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot. And they're playing right up there at the sweatiest edge of the game, where putting in multiple hours of planning, like for any opponent, if you're in that neck of the woods, is probably 1+ hours. But yeah, you're right. That could easily be 2+, trying to you walk through your head like the moves, the counter move, the counter move. How am I going to get this guy that I just saw last week? Yeah, that's it is. It is. But I love that myself, so I can see why they would enjoy it too. Like, I enjoy the getting to know my opponent through their history, and developing a plan, something bespoke just for them. And if they cut through it, I learn something. I learn huge things by if somebody just blows through a defense that I put through them, because it's like, then I had something wildly wrong, because everything was deliberate. So how did they catch me off? And then I go and I check when Swugga.gg updates the next week, and I look through their attack history and see, how is it that you did that? And I try never to get myself caught out the same way twice. So just applying that iteratively over how many rounds and how many months, you can see why. I mean, it's easy to understand why somebody would take it so seriously and spend so much time, because it's like you've assembled this body of knowledge, and you think you've got the tools now to put something together really clever. And Fatal and Arnold are definitely those kind of guys. So no
just
surprises.
different. Like I said, it's just I like to think of things. I'm always kind of trying to evaluate and trying to learn and trying to grow and think about things differently than I have in the past. And sometimes it's like a clear path where I go, oh, this is the clear path. From this moment on, this is where I need to be looking at things in an evaluation process. And then there's other times where I'm like, ugh, it's just different. I mean, like I said, I'm not negative about it. And one of the things that I don't believe in the negativity of things. I just believe in the reality of what things are. So to me, it's more like my concern has always been the same. Like, what is the evaluation process between the amount of time I spend versus the return? You know, and that's the same.
I can absolutely understand that.
Watching you spend your crystals for your stuff is
Yeah,
funny.
I've got to keep moving with this.
Yeah, you gotta go, don't you?
Thinking about this one. EP Vader. Where is? I want to get the health steal up.
Palpatine lead.
Why Palpatine lead?
The health steal. He does AoE health steal.
Yeah, but that's just his third ability. Why him lead?
Oh, no, I didn't mean lead. I just meant him as. I didn't mean lead. I mean just Emperor Palpatine's ability. Sorry. Pardon me.
Nope. We're definitely on the same page then. And then
I apologize.
That's a global, right? That's a global one. The gain life steal up.
No, it's a sector 1.
Oh, it's a sector 1. See?
It's a sector feat, not a global. So you have to just make sure that you're on the right sector.
This is
for
the
health
steal up one. Okay. And then, that's why I was going to do it this way. It was going to be health steal up and the global one for killing with Darth Vader.
Actually, you can do 3 here, because you can do health steal up and the defense up, because you can do Royal Guard and Stormtrooper.
Okay, we can do that. Okay,
because
so that means that's like EP lead then.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get to.
Okay, that makes sense. No, that makes perfect sense. EP, Vader, Royal, Storm, and I guess Thrawn for a convenient turn swap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did it that way because when I'm always looking at those feats, I'm always just trying to maximize the amount of usage, so to cut down on the energy cost and stuff like that.
Okay, so let's think about this. Both of them stunned. That's just absolutely perfect. Should have had Shore Trooper in, honestly, as one of them. Let's think about this.
Well, remember you're playing the debuff cards, so if you do Vader, the cards are going to kill.
Well, I've been doing it, stacking it up with this, but I haven't had them chain stun Vader though. So, this is fun.
With the contract going too, you're toast.
I mean,
if you actually live through this, you'll get the defense up.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, it's turning around.
Light 'em up.
And now, of course, the bounty hunter is going, oh yeah, if I can only take a turn with all these stuns.
Okay, okay, so we're not going to get to do the lifesteal thing. Alright, lesson learned. Won't do it against this fight again.
Well, it's the stamina, I think. You got the defense up stuff, though. You got a couple of them, so that's 4 times 5, so... excuse me, 4 times 3. So... that's not too bad.
Let's go!
Oof, every time Janet basics and does the double tap basic, I'm just like...
And, what are we gonna do? We'll just crush here. Yeah. 1 and a 2.
Lord Vader, the international saber toss champion.
Telling you, man. Yay, we survived. We'll take it.
Yeah,
let's see if I had any other really interesting questions for you before we look to shuffling off, because I don't want to go too much longer than 3 hours for you when I told you it's going to be like 2-ish. Let's see here. So yeah, we already covered a couple of these things about, farming after characters for Star Killer versus going after relic materials and concerns about falling behind. We've already been through that. Let's do one that's super fun here just before we cover anything else. Sure. Best mod. Tell me about your best mod in the last week.
In the last week,
yep.
You probably don't know this about my account, but this will be super funny. Everybody's account has like a goofy thing and it rolls a certain way because that's just the way things are.
Okay.
I have an insane amount of offense % roll mods. And when I mean an insane amount, it keeps doing it and keeps rolling and I can't stop it. I got another 6.9% offense % roll mod.
Wow,
another
dude.
One. I am in the 30s now.
Oh my god, I think I've got like 4.
I think I have 9 that are 7% or higher.
Oh my god.
And then I have almost 30 that are at 6% or better.
That's insane.
It's a thing. I don't know why it does it the way it does. I can't say.
I'm incredibly jealous. That is a rare thing. This is definitely stand out my best mod I've gotten in 2 weeks. For sure.
I'm waiting for it for you to click it so I can see
here.
it.
The circle that's on screen.
Woof. Yeah, that's not just one of the best mods for. That's one of the best mods, period.
That's an amazing mod. I'm so in love with it. And I was really... because this was a 22 on 4, so I was hoping for good things. And
wow.
Yeah, we got the 6. We got the 6. And this brings my B1 back into a place that I've been trying to get him back to for a long time. Because I've long since had to poach mods from him. And I got him back into a full offense set, 300 or better speed, 11,000 plus damage. He's just a monster now. He's
relic level? 7?
This is an 8. He's my most recent 8. He's my most recent.
No, it's fine. It's like I'm sitting there and going, mine's 4, and I'd love to get him at 5, but then it's like relic. Oh, the rich get richer. No, it's fine.
He was a relic 7 for the longest time. I just relic date him just before this last lock in, only because it's going to be a while before I have Starkiller, so that'll probably be the next relegate that I need, because I relegate, I already got Dab Bob Bob out of the way straight away. So I had like one extra, quote-unquote, extra relegate to use, and just as you were saying, like when you have to be thinking ahead about how to use your relegates, I usually have a pretty well-defined path where they need to go, and it was like, oh, well, until I'm going to need the next one, I'm going to be farming that guy. It'll take me a while to get there. So if I ever wanted to throw one somewhere else, this is one of those rare opportunities to do it. Do I have any such characters? And honestly, the best one coming out of them was B1. So that means I didn't have anything terribly super high priority, because I already did like Han and Chewie and stuff like that.
But I mean, B1, where people are learning that how universally ridiculous the General Grievous team is, because it's a turn meter gate team.
Yeah.
So once it spools turn meter, as long as the other team doesn't have a matrix that negates turn meter gain, the General Grievous team will always have a place, because when the debuffs go out, that's when the turn meter starts going. And as long as it doesn't negate turn meter, the other team, the General Grievous team, will always be one of the best teams in the game.
It's true.
Period.
And people think that it's all about the Grievous. I mean, you do have to have the well-modded Grievous, but B1 is absolutely nuts. Like, having him fast, having him high potency, and then, of course, as much damage as you can throw on him. But, like, 300 speed, 100% potency is, like, chef's kiss. Like, that's where I've been trying to get him for, like, probably 4 or 5 months, because I had to strip mods off him. And now he's finally home again. I don't have to work on him.
Yeah, well, the General Grievous team it's becoming that kit team that you can use it in innumerate different places. I mean, SEEs, there are SEE comps that the General Grievous team can beat. There are, it is the answer to CLS on defense. I mean, there are so many different uses for it that it's becoming what was the staple defense team years ago. It's now becoming the staple offensive team. And you can use it with Watt, you can use it with Newt, you can use it with IG-88. I mean, there is innumerable. There is so many different possible, iterations. And the great thing is it's a core 4+1. So you can toolkit the team with sometimes an unused character to be able to get very, very, very good results. So when I hear somebody saying they're invested in B1, I'm like, no, you're not investing in B1. You're investing in the future.
It's true. It's true. Like, it's funny you should say that, he's becoming such a staple on offense. I'm still, like I was talking earlier about taking my dinosaur brain out of the past. Like, I've been using GG Newt forever on defense, but also within the last couple of 5 vs 5 seasons, just using GG Nuke a lot on defense, and people, crashing and burning on that. But, now that more recently people have really got their Night Sisters figured out for that, I don't see a lot of value in putting him on defense. And now that I know that he can take on Star Killers and, take on C and all this other stuff, I have to get more comfortable with holding him on offense. People have been telling me that, people that I talk with consulting for GAX strategy tell me that I should be getting more comfortable using gas on offense now. And that's really tough for me to give up. I think that once I have Starkiller, I'll have another top tier option to set something difficult on defense. But giving that team up when I know that I can force a couple different forks for how you want to use your CLS, that's tough for me to walk away from.
Well, but the thing is, though, is that I think that any major meta team that is already something that we've geared. So, like General Grievous, almost every single person at our range, mine or higher, has a comparable Jedi, a General Grievous team. that can swoop in and just work on mods on them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that because of that, those teams are getting the most touches from evaluations because people are using Grievous more because they're like, oh, I need to be able to win. I need to be able to use a good team. I'll go ahead and use my Grievous here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, I think that more people are giving touches to those teams, and the bigger the team is over time that people have used, the more often that a person is going to be trying and assessing those teams. So it's just going to be one of those things that people are going to keep pulling it and keep pulling it and keep using it and keep using it. So I don't know. It's always fascinating to think of where things are and where things are going. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the game is, to everything that we were saying earlier about having to make your choices more narrowly, stuff like that feels less fun. I kind of like that a lot of the characters they're releasing aren't groundbreaking, that if you don't have them day one, you're at such a loss. Like Second Sister, Ninth Sister, Iden Versio, these are all going to end up being on really good teams, but like nothing about them is so pressing that you need to have them up front. Like Iden Versio, I'm making use of my 3-star in GAC, like with strong supporting other Imperial troopers, that they would all have to kill those first before you could truly kill Iden. Like, it's kind of cool that you can make use of the characters as they are, and you don't have to wail out on them to get, good use.
Well, but that's a power creep design. That's not that's because her kit is so obscenely ridiculous that's a power creep design. So it's like every character that comes in after that, like we have to look at how that character affects the game as a whole, because does that team take everything that predates that has existed before then, and does it remove it? Well, Iden Versio is an odd case because it's literally just her kit is so obscenely ridiculous, and it only exists with specific characters on her comp that weren't as usable with the modern comps, because nobody was really using Death Trooper aggressively. Definitely not Magna, definitely not Snow. So those teams were kind of like thrown into that mix of like, extras. And she basically said, "Oh, I'll go ahead and take, the off Broadway Imperial Troopers and make one of the best teams in GAC offense. Sure, that sounds great."
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you can correct me if you think I'm wrong here or off base, but like, I think that we've long since been in this like crazy place with power creep since Jedi Knight Revan and then Darth Revan to counter him. And then everything since then has been kind of like this kit race, for having increasing complexity. But they've gotten pretty good about making strong team, counter strong team, now stronger team, counter stronger team. Like they've given us new questions and new answers. And yes, it is a power creep design to say that you can have a low star character be competitive with full star, fully geared characters. But the power, I mean, it's an inevitable part of the landscape now with the power creep, right? So the fact that they're leaning into it, and it has its niche where it only works a certain way with certain characters, and what can beat that and what can't beat that. It just seems like another option to me, more than like some abuse or further driving the game down a terrible place with power creep.
Well, I think that one of the things that's interesting and bizarre is that the power creeping now is working on the game mode tags from Omnicrons, because eventually this is going to get to the point where Omnicrons are as saturated as Zetas were. Because remember, there was a long time ago where Zetas were the defining thing that made it whether or not that character was super character or lesser character. But then Zetas have turned into this thing where it doesn't even matter. Because to me, it literally doesn't even matter. I mean, I've got 260 of them and nothing, and no reason to spend them on any of these characters. And I can't even imagine from your perspective. Whereas that now I'm not Zeta starved anymore. I'm Omnicron starved.
Yeah.
And whereas there was a time where I was Omnicron or Zeta starved.
Yeah.
So it's we've started the dance of the of the cookware in the kitchen, where it's, we've started another dance again, knowing that in a year, 2 years, it's going to reset again. We're going to get another ability set, which is going to further increase. That's going to be the thing that makes Omnicrons like Zetas. And we're going to get 7 pip mods or something like that. And it just comes down to, you better hope that since the start of Omnicrons, you were logging in every single day, or you're going to fall behind. Or just play in the middle and know that you're never going to be pushing the barrier.
Well, but just like with Zetas, I'm sure at some point they'll open the tap and there will be more ways or more frequent drops or better drop rates. I'm sure we'll see more of them as time goes on, because like you said, I mean, the end path for them is to add yet another, exclusive rare resource in the future, so they would have to make the previous thing more common. Otherwise, you'll never catch up into a point where you would get value from going after whatever's the latest and greatest. So I think you're right on the money, though. That's where they're taking the game, and honestly, they'd have to, right? They'd have to, because as long as they're willing to keep making stuff out of Star Wars, they can keep printing money with this game indefinitely.
Oh yeah, I mean, the only reason why the Old Republic still exists is because it has the Star Wars IP attached to it.
Yeah, that game is so mediocre now.
It got buried by World of Warcraft. I mean, at its launch, and
yeah,
I mean, it's still, is it playable? Yes. Does it work? Yes. Are you as a person can go in there and have fun and do stuff and enjoy it? Yes.
More so than in most MMOs. Yeah, like it is definitely the most single player friendly MMO of them all.
And that there is nothing. Is it free? Yes. There is nothing wrong. Does it absolutely show your computer the door? Yeah, it does that too. Because it is a graphic monster. But regardless, is there joy there? Yeah. Is there an endless grind that you could get into if you do so choose? Yeah. What is the return for you as a player at the end of it? You have to make that decision for when you close the door, and that's all that there is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I like a lot of the things that they're doing with giving the game the feeling that it has a long life ahead. But I think that overall, your point that it's become more time consuming for anyone. It's becoming especially time consuming for free to play and for somebody who's trying to be competitive and free to play. It becomes a grind. It becomes feeling like work, and just bringing it all full circle. My background with playing MMOs probably hardens me against a lot of that, but when I stop and think about it, there is a decent amount of the game that has become feeling like work, and that I do hope they change. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's just one of those things that we see who remains in a year. You know what I mean? Or what people or what the community is like and how it responds to such behavior. I mean, this is all something that happens over time, right? We all figure out where we end up or where we decide to, draw the lines in the sand for our choices. Yeah. They happen at different times in our lives, and everybody does things a little bit differently, and that's a good thing. And it allows for a person to grow and allows for a person to change and be happy, and that's a real thing. And I'm not bothered by it. It's more just like the natural curiosity of the way that things change over time,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm mostly out of the good questions now. I'd love to give you the floor to spout off. We can take this in any bold new direction. If there's a cause, or if there's another game, or if there's something you want to spout off on, this is your time.
No, I think that it's been an absolute pleasure for me to get in here and for me to be able to chit chat about things. And, I think that there's always going to be an endless open dialogue for this stuff, and it's always going to be
true. Yeah.
It's always going to be here, and it's always going to be growing and changing. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's amazing. And, the community keeps growing. I still think the community is better than the game that we've been given. I've been saying that for years now. And as long as the community keeps growing and creating a fun and interesting environment, the more the merrier.
Yeah, I think that's probably true of most games, though. I mean, look at League of Legends. Like, community is a wretched hive of scum and villainy. And yeah, Yeah, better community better than the game. I guess we are a nicer bunch by far and large than League of Legends, but that's probably because we're not that large. I think people in the aggregate are terrible on the internet.
I was gonna say that is purely a numbers game.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking about the most popular video game in the world compared
that's
to
right.
a niche
Yeah,
video game.
see, Famulus has got the right idea. Like when I play Summoner's Rift now, I like to play with friends or whatever. Like honestly, there's only so many times that I'm looking to be told to get cancer. There's only so many times I'm like looking to have a teenager like mash their N key at me. Only so many times I'm interested in like a 10-year-old telling me how many times and how many ways he's been fucking my mom. And it's just like,
Yeah.
man, I came up with Call of Duty, man. I'm not even offended. It's just that's passe. That's behind me now. I've put in my years on that shit.
Well, the other thing is too, we're in a protected environment. And what I mean by protected environment is that it's self-policed
Yes.
because there's so few people that are here that actually are involved in the game that we allow, like, the individual content creators can kind of self-police their chats to some degree. And I really feel like that's just the nature of the size of the game. Whereas that a game like League, it's just too big. You just simply can't control it, you know? And we've been lucky enough that the content creators for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes are approachable and excitable without being like ginormous trolls. Like, can you imagine being a World of Warcraft and being in the shadow of Asmongold, the biggest troll in the world?
Yeah, man.
Or League of Legends, and what's that guy's name? The Tyler?
Yeah,
The
Tyler won. Yeah, Tyler won.
super trolls.
Yeah.
So it's like they're big content creators are super trolls. So there's a lot of the, people that get educated in the candor in chats get educated by that.
Whereas too. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas that Arnold isn't a troll. Not at all.
No.
Not in any way.
No.
You know what I mean? He doesn't even, there's no part of what he does is involved in behavior that even comes anywhere near that.
Yeah.
He's excitable and he yells.
Harassing another person, nothing of the kind.
No, absolutely not. He's the exact opposite of that. As a matter of fact, he's extremely polite.
Yeah.
He just has a candor that sometimes people don't enjoy as opposed to others, but that's not, it doesn't foster a troll-like community. Now, does that mean that there are people that come out of that situation and don't exhibit some of that behavior? No, but it is lesser than greater, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can only control your own messaging. You can't control your own fans. Like you've got people that are in Arnold's community and in some of the other larger streamers in this game's community that like they're famous trolls, but they're not representative of that content creator. And for anybody who gets to have a certain size of following, of course, there's going to be people, you can ban them from your server or whatever, but you can't stop them from, like liking you and following you and stuff like that. I mean, and what Famulus is saying in chat, right? Like the biggest thing people could have against Arnold is that he's a ham. Yeah, I mean he, everything's very over the top on his stream, but that's his character. That's his character for his stream. So, you either roll with that or he's not the content creator for you. I mean,
he
definitely.
is a fantastic ham, by the way. And
he is a magnificent ham. The fanciest ham there may have ever been. But yeah, if that's the worst we could say about any content creator in this community, that is definitely a big leg up on any of the more popular games. Because as soon as you mentioned Asmongold, you took it right out of my mouth with mentioning Tyler 1. Because I mean, like between the two of them, man, like it like sours your gut watching them. It's tough.
Well, the funny thing is that there are people that are educated on conduct in that world. And the thing is the worst thing that you could ever ask for is a player that gets educated from behavior like that, because then they take that wherever they go. And that's the thing that is the most troublesome. And I think that every content creator in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, you and me included, that's part of their, that's part of what we have to deal with. And we're just lucky in the sense of that it's really not that bad.
No. yeah, as limited as the audience is for the game, you just the people that stick with this game are just like genuine people that just want to be better at a Star Wars game. Like it's like you just don't have the casual trolls. Like I guess the fact that it is like a kind of a gotcha spending mobile game really does keep the riffraff out in terms of like the 8-year-olds with no money but really strong opinions. Like that really does help, prune them out.
The 8-year-olds with really strong opinions. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, the one, yeah, right. Like maybe you didn't. You know what? You are a little bit older than me. Maybe you didn't grow up like I did in your teens. Like you're busy being like 15, 16, and you're playing like Call of Duty online here, and you're like, hey, come on, let's go over this way to kill them, and then it's like literally like an 8-year-old comes on, and it's like, shut the fuck up, I fucked your
Yeah.
mom. Na, 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 na.
Well, and
That's what I'm talking
Famous
about.
brings up a brilliant point, which is that it's also based upon patience. Those league experiences are point to point,
That's true.
whereas that, I mean, point to point stuff very much becomes the, red light, green light kind of thing. So I think that also affects things distinctively, but the gaming companies and how they promote that stuff and how it goes into their communities. I mean, why is Final Fantasy 14 not a troll-ridden hodgepodge that WoW is?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
They're saying
I never
they're an
played Final
MMO.
Fantasy 14.
But regardless, it's not.
Yeah.
It has nowhere near the volume of that negative behavior. Well, is that a product of the game, or is that a product of the people that play it, or a product of both combined? And it's both combined. So
Yeah,
definitely
there
an
has
interesting
to be
thing.
some kind of mechanical draw in the game towards a certain type of person, just like what Famulus was saying in chat here. I mean, like
Mhm.
this game does not lend itself to the instant gratification crowd.
No.
Yeah.
If you're looking for instant gratification in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, it's going to be a real tough day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I hope you are well funded and the kids are off to college or the mortgage is paid off or whatever it is. But like instant gratification is not a poor man's game in this game.
No, it's not. It's oh man, it's hard to even think of that. I can't. The instant gratification in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, that's a tough pill to swallow.
That's
Whew.
right. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Famous. Better have won the lottery a couple times. Yep, that sounds just about right. All right, well, you
Yeah, a
know what?
couple.
I'm thinking this is a good place to wrap it up, Mr. Jigabachi. It has been
I agree.
great having you here. No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I agree. We've been going at it for a long time, and I feel like somebody else
I
has to
have
say,
to.
okay, we need to get something to eat because we could do this for another six
Yeah,
hours.
it's true. I mean, exactly. That's always the problem with this is like feeling like I have to cut it off. Something's like, hey, man, it's been great, but we're pushing into the fourth hour, and I'm sure that you had something else you were planning on doing with your Saturday. But you know what though? It's been so great having you. Love following your streams. You're so entertaining to watch. Let me go ahead and give a shout out for you. So shout out at Mr. Come on now, Jigabachi. There it is. There it is. Guys, go check out Mr. Jigabachi. He's got good stuff. He's an entertaining fellow. His streams are always positive, very fun. Like, if I want to go chill and watch somebody have fun playing this game and not get bogged down in anything during the watching, there's only a few names I'll pull up for that purpose. Mr. Jigabachi is one of them. And yeah, it's been a great Tass Talk. We'll see you here again next week. I'm still working on lining up the guest list for going out through the rest of February. GAC's kind of thrown a little bit of loop in my planning, but I'll update you on my server. Here, we'll plug the Discord. And yeah, I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't cover the Patreon goodness. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Check out my Patreon page, guys. We have GAC coaching, GAC coaching, mods. That's my thing. How to farm, how to slice, who to equip them on, understanding the kits, making the most out of the mods that you've got. All this and more. Check that out. We do have merch available on the page now. Man, I got to get better at transitioning those slides. Yeah, so there's merch on the page. I'm working on adding some more stuff. I will get on that. Let me take a note on that to myself. I have to get with the missus. She's my marketing manager for all this sort of thing.
Marketing manager. So funny.
Yeah, Scotch for merch. Okay, we'll do that. And then, of course, we have to thank the patrons themselves who helped me justify the enormous amount of time I spent on this game because I'm not trying to spend a incredible ton of money doing it. So, VIP access for Trevor Boy Gaming, Ryan, White Wolf, Sam Vimes, and Elite Wolf. Love you guys. Appreciate your support. I know a few of you guys play League with me. I'm going to be available this afternoon. Hit me up. We'll probably play some. That goes for you too, Jigabachi, if you want to do whatever it is that you play on League. I don't know if you do TFT or Summoner's Rift or whatever, but I do kind of all of it, I guess, so sometime.
I am on the what I would like to call the retired space right now.
You're on the I'm good level. That's fine.
I'm on the I'm good level. Yep.
I've been there multiple times with that game, so I sympathize.
Yeah, it's important to know your limits.
It is, and you definitely need to know where to cut yourself off with League of Legends. But anyway, Jester's Club, the one, the only Absolution, who has just returned back to the game. I'm so looking forward to you being back, man. Let's hear how your GAC went. I'll follow up with you here this afternoon. I know you were definitely working on having your modding right here before the lock-in, so interested to see how that panned out for you. And of course, at Jester's Club Platinum, Eric Rose, my #1 coaching client. Always pleasure working with you, and yeah, you've got yourself off to a rough start here for this season against a very big opponent, but I think your planning's good. I'm hoping it'll carry the day for you. All right, and now back to the main screen. We're going to raid you guys out to somebody. I have to pass on the goodwill from Kate Gaming, so let's see who we can send you guys on out to. Jigabachi, the last bit of words here, I guess, could be yours as I'm looking for who to send us off to.
I think let's just go ahead and send it off. It's been an absolute pleasure today, and I'm so happy that I got to sit in here and chit-chat with you guys.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and send you off to Ram Bam. That's going to be fun.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, that's
He's
right.
so crazy.
Yeah, Fatal's going, but he's definitely got a ton of people in there already. So let's go show some love here to Ram Bam. All right, guys, we're starting up the raid. It's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. We'll see you here tomorrow night for week 3, round 2 of 5 versus 5 Grand Arena. And until then, enjoy your weekend. Peace.